Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar world champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics here on Apex Racing TV, where we shine the spotlight on some of the best LMP2 and GT3 drivers from around the world. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod with Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski, bringing you all the best views of tonight's action. And so this week, we head to the king of all street circuits. No, it's not like Long Beach or Belle Isle. It's not tight or all that twisty, and our racers won't be confined by walls that are mere inches away from their window nets. And it's actually really a combination of both public roads and a purpose-built road course. And so tonight, our drivers will finally be able to properly stretch their legs of their sports car steeds, and they'll have 8.5 minutes from which to think about their next lap strategy. Both speed and endurance, as we have our first 90-minute race of the season, will definitely be put to the test here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, otherwise known as Le Mans. And so, good evening, Larry. How are you doing this evening? I guess Larry's not doing all that well with that mute button pressed, but
I'm doing a lot better without the mute button pressed. I wish I had a better excuse for that, but I don't. I just didn't want to have my noise in the background going over your wonderful opening. But I am doing well. I am glad we're out here and watching this race at Le Mans. This is where these cars are supposed to be driven. This is what they're designed for. And I'm excited to see what these drivers can do over the long haul of a long race. I think it'll be exciting, as it always is with these guys. But extra is so much. And I think a little extra buzz in the air going into this type of circuit. This, as you say, is not your average street circuit. This is where the men will be separate from the boys tonight, as we'll see who can really handle this beast of a track.
Yeah, and so, the last time we checked in with our World Challenge drivers, it was 2 weeks ago. It was at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and it was just on the heels of the switch over from Season 1 to Season 2 in iRacing parlance. And with that switch over, right after that Mid-Ohio race, came some pretty big updates, Larry, to the GT3 cars. They had changes in aero, they had changes in suspension. The tire model was updated to some extent, and we may find maybe some greater tire wear over the long course of this race. But I suspect that a lot of the setups that these drivers had used or had used as a baseline from last May, when we were last here at Le Mans, likely needed a pretty hefty reworking for tonight's race.
Yeah, I would think so, as well, as things, pretty big setup changes there. So we'll see who's able to adapt to that going into this one. So it certainly throws a wrench in the works, but doing this all mid-season from a Ricmotech series standpoint. But these drivers are pretty good. They get a lot of seat time in. I think we'll see who's able to adjust as needed.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. And I'll tell you, we've had a couple, as we get ready, and we're going to go to our track guide here in just a few moments. We've had a couple of changes here. We've had a couple of big signings. Two of our top GT3 Pro drivers this week signed with Orion Racing, Esteban Rodriguez and William Laster, who have found themselves at the top of the points order there, have moved on over to Orion. So we'll see that, there's probably going to be strength in numbers. Actually, a good portion of that GT3 Pro field is going to be made up of Orion racers this evening.
Yeah, it's great to have a few more added to the family there. And I think those two guys have shown already early on they've got some serious speed to contend with. So jumping into the fray now as part of that, this team is probably going to give them access to things like, setups, as we talked about, making the adjustment to any changes these cars might have. So these guys doing that mid-season means they got to kind of get in the groove and maybe get that little extra seat time, a little extra coaching as part of the team. We'll see if they're able to excel and get to the front of the field with it.
All right, so as we've been talking, you've been getting a nice overview of the nice scenic view of the track here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. But why don't we do this, Larry? Why don't we hand things over to Kevin Ford? He's going to give us tonight's track guide of the Circuit de la Sarthe of Le Mans. And, hopefully you won't miss Larry and I, because it's going to be about 5 minutes before we see you again. It's a long way around Le Mans. And so let's turn things over to Kevin.
Welcome, everyone, to La Sarthe, France, and Circuit de la Sarthe, and the home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That's right, we are here at this legendary 8.4-mile road course, a track that dates all the way back to 1923. That's right, Le Mans is a combination of public roads and permanent circuit, and it has been that way since day one. Of course, the track has been grown upon and added to over the years, and we're about to see the beauty of this incredible track. Here we go. Let's get ready to head up the front straightaway here as we see the beautiful grandstands on the left and right as we approach the start-finish line here. Coming across it now as we head up into turn one. This is a very fast entry. Very exciting entry to turn one. Love this corner. Coming down into a right-hand sweeper. We're going to get hard on the brakes. Get down through the gears here and get ready for this very tight first chicane. Up through Dunlop and heading up underneath the Dunlop Bridge. This will be a slight left-hander and then back to the right as we come down the hill into Tetra Rouge. This will be a hard left-hander. A little bit of a banked corner, which is nice. Gives you some good momentum up and out. But then you got this light crest here. Gets the car light. And then into Tetra Rouge, the double right out onto the main straightaway. A lot of speed on exit here. And you need that because this takes you out onto Mulsanne Straight, the longest straightaway here at Le Mans. Great overtaking opportunities here, obviously, with the slipstream down this long straightaway. As you can see, we're heading down a public road here with all the businesses and homes on the left and right. What a great place to view this race from. Coming down into the first chicane here on Mulsanne, we're going to get down into the gears at the 100 marker, into second gear, trail brake, let it roll off that second exit, and right back up through the gears, taking just a little bit of curve not to upset the car. Back out onto the next section of Mulsanne Straight. Again, slipstream opportunities here, obviously, in the first couple sectors of the lap. A lot of speed here. We'll be hitting speeds of upwards of 170 to 180 miles an hour coming down into the second chicane here. 100 marker back down through the gears into second gear. Gonna let that car roll back to the right, come right back to throttle, get right up onto the inside curb, and get a good launch out onto the final section of Mulsanne Straight. This corner down here is obviously exciting for spectators. You'll see a lot of them piled up here as these cars roar down into Mulsanne Corner. Very, very difficult right-hander. Heavy on the brakes, down through the gears, all the way down into first gear. Hug that inside tight, come right back to throttle, and up through the gears once again. Coming off that corner back there's a lot of undulation, very staggered track surface. Certainly can get that back end loose as you're coming to throttle. You got to be real careful back there. Coming down this second long straightaway here, actually the second longest straight at Circuit de la Sarthe. We come down into a section known as Indianapolis. We're going to get heavy on the brakes here. Coming down into this very tight left-hander, down into second gear. We're going to use the banking to get that car to rotate up off the top of the crest of the corner. And then heavy braking down into our notch, down into first gear. Once again, tight right-hander, easy on exit. And back up into another very high-speed section. You can tell Le Mans is a very fast course, an opportunity for drivers to really stretch their legs out and let those engines roar. Here we go, some of the toughest corners on the track. Coming into Porsche curves. Very fast right-hander, hug that bottom. And then we're going to pin it through Porsche curve here to the left, right out to that wall, up into fifth gear, and then heavy braking down into fourth for this long rotating wrapping right-hander, and then right back to the left. Getting a little bit loose coming out of there, but that's all right. We were able to save it. Coming through this little fast chicane, then we're going to come down into four chicanes to wrap up the end of this lap here. Down into this quick left, right, down into second gear, gonna roll center, back to the right again, out of the four chicanes, and right back up onto the front straightaway, across the stripe. There's your track guide for the wonderful, beautiful Circuit de la Sarthe here in La Sarthe, France. Thank you for being with us.
All right, well, thank you much to Kevin Ford for that very long track guide of Le Mans, and I'm very thankful that Kevin did not wreck the car over in the Porsche curves, because it looked pretty darn close there for a minute where he had
I wish he had. It would have made for a lot more interesting track guide. This is this is not how you want to do it. Don't follow what I do.
say as I do, don't do as I do as I say, not as I do. Is that
But
how
no,
it goes?
he had to save it and show off his incredible driving skills. This is why he's not a driver in the series. He would just be too good for it. You can tell by those driving guides. Kevin, at one point we'll get you back in the series.
Exactly, and of course now as we're watching Arthur Chan come down, as we were watching him, I think, come down the Mulsanne straight. I was just waiting for him to go and flip the car over Mark Webber style on the Mulsanne there. I doubt we'll see that happen in iRacing, however.
Yeah, if he were if he's on his VR headset, that would be quite dizzying.
Oh yes, it definitely would. All right, so we've got our cars out on track for qualifying. Now, typically here in the World Challenge, we give our drivers 15 minutes in which to set 4 laps, and that will set the grid for tonight's race, because the lap is so much longer here, and our drivers are running just under 4 minutes. Both in actually it's about 3.5 minutes for the LMP2 cars and about 3 minutes 50 plus seconds in the GT3 cars. We're going to give them a couple extra minutes. We're going to give them 20 minutes to set those 4 flying laps, and set the grid for tonight's, again, 90-minute extended endurance race here rather than our normal 75-minute format. So should be some great racing here from Le Mans, as we currently have sitting atop the LMP2 field, and I believe our only LMP2 driver to have set a lap time is Arthur Chan in the number 50 Axon Driving Solutions machine with a fast lap of 3:29.40, and he's on his second flying lap right now.
He was a little bit quicker in practice, so I think about a second faster. He was in the 28s. Although this track, being as 8 miles around or whatnot, easy to make one little mistake and cost you a full second, especially if that
just
happens
like that
in a
right
spot
there.
like that, as he disappears from view. But yeah, very easy to throw away, lots of time, and rather than drive back around again, you can see what he did there, perhaps just deciding that wasn't worth it.
Yeah, and just start again and get some heat in the tires and take another lap.
Fresh set of tires, or perhaps even looking at a slight setup change. You could still be tweaking it right now.
That's right. And there should be plenty of time to do so. We're only about 8 minutes into that 20-minute time for qualifying. Now, in GT3 Pro, and you'll be able to pick out our GT3 Pro drivers, they've got much like William Laster that we're looking right here in his brand new Orion Racing colors. The GT3 Pro drivers, red windshield banners, red number boards, red mirrors, and end plates on the wings. The GT3 AM drivers, it's all the same except in green. And of course, I'm hoping that you can figure out what an LMP2 car looks like versus a GT3 car. But they've got everything in blue. Right now, William Laster is your fastest driver on track in GT3 Pro. Fast time of a 3:52.9, about a half a second up on Caleb Lavender in the number 333 D2D iRacing Audi. Then we've got Esteban Rodriguez, also a new signee with Orion Racing, currently third fastest at a 3:53.46. And if we take a look at GT3 AM, Bobby Childs in his Ferrari, currently fastest at 3:54.74. Jeff Jacobs currently second fastest in his Lamborghini, a 3:57.09. Steve Daniel at Russ Ruddock, third fastest at a 3:58.94.
And you see the gaps there between Bobby Childs just to Jeff Jacobs in second there, 2 seconds a lap. But again, when you're talking about a 4-minute lap around here, that's not as much as you might think. And that may come down to as these guys settle in, get tires warm, and try to get their best lap time. But we could see gaps like that early on. The consistency is, though, what drives winners in these races. It's not just absolute single lap flyer. You've got to be consistent. You got to do that over an hour and a half. And we know guys like Jeff Jacobs are very consistent. Steve Daniel's been consistent this year. So these guys, although they're looking like they're a couple seconds behind Bobby, don't count them out. They could be right there with him come 90 minutes down the road.
All right, here as we have these drivers continuing on now with qualifying. And so, Larry, as we mentioned, Esteban Rodriguez and William Laster switching over to the Orion Racing team, and that really puts a pretty. It looks like the majority of the GT3 Pro field now coming out of Orion Racing. But let's go, and while we've got a few moments here, we're going to take a look at how things finished up at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course just a few weeks ago. And we'll start off with LMP2, where Christian Eisler took the win. That is his third win out of 4 this season. He's currently sitting with 146 points to lead the championship currently. Arthur Chan. And Arthur had a pretty decent pit stop strategy last time around, Larry, but not able to really get close to Christian Eisler after those first pit stops. The two of them were pretty much, I guess, like almost yo-yoing around as they were working their way through traffic. The lead would go from basically a half a second to about 4 seconds. I think at one point Eisler had stretched things out over Chan to almost 8 seconds, and he closed it down, I think, at the very end to about 4 seconds between them. That it seemed as though the traffic was probably playing more of a role than anything else there. But Arthur Chan finished second. Jake Gortson, who we're going to be speaking to here in just a few moments, driver of the number 12 Reverse Grid Racing LMP2 Dallara. He finished third at Mid-Ohio and finishing 4th was Victor De Zarago, and I believe that was his first outing of the season with us, also from Reverse Grid Racing. Not quite the race that Charlie Bono or Jennifer McDonald wanted to have. They finished 5th and 6th respectively. And if we take a look at where we stand in the championship right now after 4 rounds, Christian Eisler does lead the championship with 146 points, 126 to Arthur Chan, so 20 points in arrears. Jennifer McDonald, even with that poor finish, she is currently sitting 3rd in the championship, 1 point clear of our 4th place runner. So Jennifer McDonald with 112 points, where Jake Gortson has 111, and only a couple points back from there, Eduardo Lorente from Curry Cavalier Racing, currently sitting 5th in the championship.
A couple things to note is Jennifer McDonald does not appear to be here this evening. Taken this week off, decided not to fly over to France for this race, which gives opportunities for those around her, like Jake Gortson, who hopefully we'll talk to in a few minutes, and Victor De Zarago, who's shown there in that 7th spot. He is here tonight. I think he's on his out lap now, or one of his laps. So some guys with good opportunities now to pick up some points here with Jennifer out.
All right, so let's take a look now at GT3 Pro, where our winner at Mid-Ohio was newly with Orion Racing, formerly with S-Rod Motorsports, Esteban Rodriguez in his Porsche 911 GT3R, and finishing 2nd was Mike Dam, not all that far back. But I think it was about 3 seconds in arrears, if I remember correctly. Finishing 3rd was the Audi R8 LMS of Caleb Lavender, and finishing 4th, Kernan Motorsports Porsche, Tony Kernan, with Travis Schwenke finishing 5th. And if we take a look at the points now after 4 rounds, it is Caleb Lavender from D2D E-Racing by Skull Sim Gear in his Audi R8 LMS, 137 points, with Esteban Rodriguez now with 2 wins, much like Lavender. So Lavender and Rodriguez are only 2 winners so far this season. Difference is 15 points. If we then drop down and take a look at who's 3rd, it is Tony Kernan in his Kernan Motorsports Porsche 911, 113 points. Travis Schwenke at 106 points, and now William Laster at 101. And I'm sure Laster, things couldn't go much more wrong for William Laster.
Yeah, he's had a rough couple of races. He is looking to really finally get a good scoring. We know he's got great pace. And now, of course, as part of the Orion Racing team, he's got a good team behind him. I would expect that he's going to want to really show us his speed, and not just his speed on qualifying, but he wants to show that he can finish a race strong. Don't be surprised if we see him up near the front of the pack come the end of this race.
All right, so let's jump over to GT3 AM, where we've had 3 different winners so far this season. Last week, or probably not last week, but 2 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, it was Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org Lamborghini picking up his 2nd win of the season, with Andre Saunders in the Mohawk Racing BMW finishing in, he's currently sitting 2nd in the championship. He finished in 3rd, and we'll talk about that in a second. Finishing 2nd behind Jacobs was DB Bowman in his Audi R8 LMS, the dysfunctional racing entry, the number 77 car. So as we mentioned, Saunders finished 3rd, and Larry, for the 2nd race in a row in the World Challenge, Saunders had some pit stop issues. We know that the previous race at the Hungaroring, he had some damage to the car, and apparently it looked like he was there sitting in the pits, getting enough fixed on the car that he could come back out, even though he had been running in the lead in the class. But at Mid-Ohio, he went into the pits. It looks like he took tires, possibly when he didn't mean to take tires, might have taken a lot more fuel than he expected, and he once again had been leading GT3 AM, and then came out a long way back in 3rd. So I'm sure, hopefully this week, he's been working on his pit stop strategies and what it takes to go and get that car through a pit stop and back out on track, as all of our drivers will need to take pit stops this evening. All right, so we've got Jake Gortson right now, Larry, sitting in the green room. Why don't we bring him in and we will talk to him, and then we'll finish talking about the GT3 AM guys. So here we go. We'll bring in Jake Gortson, driver of the number 12 reverse grid racing machine. And he is currently sitting fourth in the championship, and as we said, finished third at Mid-Ohio 2 weeks ago.
All right. Hey, Jake, how's it going this evening? I see you got your qualifying laps in. You feeling ready yet?
Yeah, as ready as I can be.
Yeah, well, you come into this race here at the Le Mans with a couple of podium finishes the last 2 rounds. This track though is a bit of a beast. I know I personally haven't spent much time trying to learn this place. How much have you put in, and are you ready for this daunting 8-mile round track?
Yeah, I definitely have not put in as much as I should have. I feel decently confident on my race pace. 1 lap, it's not there, but I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I think my race today is going to be with Victor and Charlie, which I'm cool with because they're super cool dudes and we have pretty even pace.
Yeah, pretty even, I would say. You guys are about 11 hundredths apart right now on
I see that.
qualifying. That doesn't get much closer than that around a long track like this. But you look at this field, this LMP2 field. It's very deep with some talent. Is that at all intimidating for you? Do you enjoy that challenge?
I definitely enjoy the challenge because I am nowhere near Christian's level, but just getting the opportunity to follow and watch and see how fast he is, I know it makes me faster and I can learn a lot from him, and Arthur too. I know Arthur's a bit closer, but I've learned so much during this series, and those guys are just insane. It's amazing how fast they can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been watching Arthur for a while, and now in the second season of watching Christian, he just has got that raw speed that just goes, but he's got such a strong way to be able to manage a race as well. And
Yeah,
do you pay attention to that and kind of go back and watch how did he manage that? How many laps is he doing or anything like that to see if you can work on your game in that area?
definitely. Yeah, I usually go back and watch the broadcast and see what he did, especially like Hungaroring. He was saving fuel where I wasn't, and that's what got me in the pit stops. So just little things like that I can pick up from him and try and put it into my own race, and just hope I can get better each and every time I get on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this series seems to be pretty good for that, giving you opportunities to continue to grow and continue to get better. Do you see yourself jumping, finishing this season LMP2 and considering the other class for another season, or are you really enjoying this car for a challenge?
I actually feel most comfortable in this car, but I really like the competition of the GT3, so I would consider the GT3 just because bigger car count. I mean, that's always more fun.
Yeah, that or you got to go
But
find some friends who want to bring the LMP2. I agree with you. I enjoy driving the LMP2, but yeah, it'd be great to have some bigger fields. We just got to keep promoting that, pushing that, get some people out there because I think it's a fantastic car to drive. It's got a lot of things you can do with it, and it's just a lot of fun to do long runs in that car. So tonight, well, it looks like we're about to line up. So good luck. Speaking of long runs, you got an hour and a half in front of you. So good luck with that, and hopefully we'll see you near the podium come the end of the race.
Thank you.
All right, there you
Thanks,
go. Jake Gortson, driver of the number 12 reverse grid racing machine. And we'll see him out on track here in just a few moments. And so, Larry, looks like we've got our starting grid ready to go. We'll catch up with and run down the points in GT3 AM here in just a few moments. But starting at the front of the field with a pole time of 3:27.108. It is Christian Eisler from Punto CL Racing. Arthur Chan going to start right next to him on the outside of the front row in the number 50 Axon Driving Solutions machine. Then we've got the 2 reverse grid racing. Well, we've got 3 reverse grid racing drivers all in a row there. Victor De Zarago will start third with Jake Gortson starting right next to him on the outside of row 2. Charlie Bono will start in 5th.
All right, over in the GT3 ranks, it is an Orion 123 lockout on the grid. Sorry, 124. Caleb got himself in there. But on the pole is the newly minted Orion Racing driver, William Laster, looking to set the pace there with that 351.4, almost 9/10 quicker than his new stablemate. Also now in Orion Racing, Esteban Rodriguez. That's your new front row there. Row 2, I almost overlooked Caleb Lavender of DGD Racing. He's your current points leader. How can I overlook him? He'll be on the inside of row 2, lined up with that other Orion Racing driver, Mike Dam, out of Canada. This could be an interesting start with those 4 up front, but don't overlook another Orion Racing driver on the 3rd row. Travis Schwenke on that inside. He'll be lined up alongside another GCG Racing driver on that outside. That was David Payton on row 4, then we've got Chris Thorman, another D2D racing driver. Jumping into the AM category here in GT3 on that pole is Bobby Childs, another D2D racing driver. He'll be lined up alongside Jeff Jacobs. Row 2 is going to be SKKJ Racing's Steve Daniel. Alongside him, Russ Ruddick in the Lamborghini Flying Tortoise Motorsports. And on row 3, Andre Saunders from Mohawk Racing lined up with Robert Brist at RFC Racing.
All right, Larry, and
one more.
Oh, sorry, that's right. We've got more. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
That scroll there. 046 Racing's John Casey winding up there on the 4th row of the AM category. Back to you, Greg.
All right, so let's take a look here, Larry. And I was going to mention that it looks like Tony Kernan did not make the grid, and also very good to know that the assistant marshal is French here. So we do have some local flavor for tonight's race. So the pace car has our LMP2 field. They're going to be making their way over towards the start-finish line. Now, for everybody watching at home, our racers will not be going on the green flag as given by iRacing. We do have a live starter sitting back. Sitting somewhere in the garages over, or maybe even on the starter stand there at Le Mans. He will give the green flag to our racers, signaling when they can go. And you can see our GT3 drivers, they are all lined up right now, nose to tail, trying to drag their brakes a little, get some heat in the tires, get ready to go there. As the pace car is still bringing our front field around. You've got them on your left-hand side, and the GT3 cars on the right. And you know, I think, as we know here, Larry, over the course of a 90-minute race and an 8+ mile race course, you know, beating somebody into the Dunlop chicane, or pardon me, the Daytona chicane for the very first time isn't necessarily the most important thing. You want to get some heat in the tires and, you know, live to run your overall strategy, not end up in the pits after just a single lap.
Definitely. These cars, especially the LMP2s, they need a lot of heat. You know, about lap 2, lap 3, they'll be really settled in. This first lap is just get the thing around the track, build that heat as you go, and hopefully keep Christian Eisler within view, because he is going to take off quickly. I saw our interview there, Jake Gortson. He was aggressively trying to get heat in those brakes. He knows what the challenge is, but I'm going to be watching to see, can Arthur Chan keep Christian Eisler in view, or maybe even get in front of him before we get down to the Mulsanne Straight.
All right, so as our LMP2 drivers are coming into the Ford chicane right now, and the pace car is on pit lane, Christian Eisler has the field with Arthur Chan right beside him, right behind Chan, De Zaraga, and Gortson. And we have a green flag, and our LMP2 cars, they are now off, as our GT3 field very well formed up coming into the Ford chicane, and they will be going racing here in just a few moments. But jumping out to an early lead is Arthur Chan, and you can see, Larry, how the rear end of those two cars at the front of the field are really just wiggling all over the place as they come underneath the Dunlop Bridge and head over towards Tete Rouge.
Yes, and definitely, and then watching the two teammates there with Zaraga and Gortson going at it. But we've got to start in the GT3 ranks, and that Orion front row are still side by side coming up to the first corner. But Jake Gortson already spinning. We'll get back to him in a second. The GT3 is still looking like they're on a formation lap. Nobody able to step in front. And finally, that looks like Laster able to just eke ahead, as they'll now lead themselves down this first hill, as the battle in LMP2 wages with Chan, and now with the attacking Eislers, they head to the first chicane.
As they come down the Mulsanne into the first chicane, we've got Christian Eisler drivers right. He takes the point away from Arthur Chan as they come back onto the very long 3.7 mile Mulsanne Straight. Of course, these two chicanes, the first one they've already gone through, the second one they're on the way, added back in 1990 to slow things down. As we jump over to that right-hand screen and take a look at the GT3 cars, as Laster is starting to stretch things out over Esteban Rodriguez, then Caleb Lavender, then Travis Schwenke. Bobby Childs in the yellow number 88 Lamborghini. There you go. You see him in that line of GT3 Pro cars. He's opened up a little bit of advantage over the rest of the AM category. He's got David Payton and Chris Thorman, who are two pro drivers, about 4 car lengths back, and it is then not until after you see those two cars that you have Steve Daniel in the number 96 SKKJ Ferrari, currently running second in AM. as we continue to look here. And now I believe coming out of Mulsanne, coming out of that right-hander at the end of the Mulsanne straight, you've got Eisler, you've got Chan, and they have already, Larry, really separated themselves out from the rest of the LMP2 field.
They definitely have. You can look at the class of the field there with Victor Zaraga back there in that far distance at this point. He's already about 5 seconds back. Oh, sorry, it's Charlie Bono, my bad. Charlie Bono in third, about 5 seconds in the distance there behind Eisler and Chan. It just goes to show you that the pace that Chan and Eisler have over the rest of that field. And as Jake mentioned, that's the carrot. That's what he's going after to see if he can try and keep up with those guys. Unbelievable pace they are setting early as the battle is on in GT3.
That's right, as we jump over to that GT3 battle right now. And again, at the front of the field, we've got the two BMWs that have really separated themselves out, I think, from the rest of the field, Larry, there of Laster and Rodriguez. And, you know, we're watching right now. We've got 4 Ferraris in a row back behind. Yep, here we go. Here come the, did I say BMWs? I mean Porsches, pardon me. Laster and Rodriguez in the 2 Porsches. They've got now Caleb Lavender in the Audi. He's not all that far back. And then Travis Schwenke, a Ryan teammate of our 2 leaders, as the 4th car there. But they're starting to separate themselves out from the rest of the field. So far, still a pretty tight run here in GT3. You can see this pretty big line gathering up now behind the 88 of Bobby Childs there. So, you know, it looks like it's going to be a tough battle in GT3 here. But again, a long way to go. 90 minutes, and you know, we're not even a full lap in yet.
Exactly.
All right, Larry, I think we've got a replay now of Jake Gortson. I think this might be the spin early on to start the race. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened here.
He'll be on that right side, and a lot of contact. The big spin. Didn't quite see what triggered it, but he definitely made some contact there. Not sure what condition his car is going to be in. These LMP2s are somewhat durable, but I'm not sure they're that durable.
Well, it's not durable enough to keep him on track, Larry, because he is in the pits, and he just got the tow finally made it back to the pits. So we'll see how long he's going to be there as we jump back over. Great little battle going on here. Victor De Zaraga, the number 14, that aquamarine number 14. Charlie Bono in the purple number 27. Both nose to tail. And again, this right now is the battle for the last step on the podium here at Le Mans. And you can see, I think you can see our leaders just a little bit further up ahead.
Yeah, they're up there somewhere, but those 2 guys are definitely having a good battle there with Charlie and Victor for that battle for third. But a little bit of gap now separating Eisler from Chan. Eisler just so consistent coming out of these chicanes, so consistent at every turn of the wheel. Arthur's got great pace. He's certainly quick, but boy, Christian Eisler just seems like he's on another level.
All right, Larry, and now that I know that this race is underway, I was waiting for him to show up, but Stubby has finally arrived in the chat room.
Good evening, Stubby. Enjoy the show.
He showed up like 4 minutes late and still didn't miss an entire lap. So there he is, as we're watching right now. And actually, right here's the battle I was just watching right here. Mike Dam, who did not have a great start. Mike Dam has fallen all the way back to the tail end of the GT3 Pro field in that number 93 Orion Racing Porsche. He's got our second place in AM right behind him, Steve Daniel, and then right behind Steve Daniel is Jeff Jacobs in a good little battle there, Ferrari and Lamborghini in GT3 AM. But we may have to see exactly what happened to Mike Dam. We'll expect to see him back in 7th.
Yeah, definitely unusual to see him back there after having that second row start. So we'll have to see what happened there. But he's got some work to do. Again, with the hour-and-a-half format, though, he's got enough time to continue to make his way up. He'll use some of that draft as he can. He's got, obviously, the teammates and those 2 Ferraris just ahead that he would like to catch up to. But where he really wants to be is this pack here. He'd like to be right up there with Laster and Rodriguez and Lavender, as those 3 guys have put a little bit of daylight between themselves and Travis Schwenke.
Yeah, and Larry, getting word from our folks back in the truck that that Mike Dam had a slowdown penalty on lap 1, must have run off one of the chicanes, and that dropped him back as he had to give up a bunch of time. As
Easy to do around this place for sure.
Yeah, definitely. As we're sitting on board right now, watching the as we were jumping back and forth between William Laster and Esteban Rodriguez, and then of course we've got the Audi of Caleb Lavender sitting in the rear there, and they have both, or all three of them, seem to have dropped Travis Schwenke. Schwenke now sitting about 10 car lengths back from our 3 leaders here on lap number 3.
Yeah, Lavender just kind of showing some patience here right now, just kind of biding his time, not looking to push this, let these 3 guys just sort of set the pace for a while. And in these long formats, you can do this. You know exactly where that leader is. You can follow his line, maybe learn something, and just take your time. Keep these guys in view. We know that there's been some tremendous pace early on in the season from both Laster and Rodriguez. And so for Lavender, he probably just wants to kind of keep them in sight. But you can see an extra car length or 2 happening there through the Porsche curve. So maybe the Porsche is a little bit faster through those curves.
Yeah, Larry, and we've seen this. Great! As Mike Dam is trying to make his way here around Chris Thorman. We've been watching the last couple races where it was usually the LMP2 pit stop strategy, where they probably needed 2 laps, but the second pit stop, or probably 2 pit stops, but the second one was primarily going to be like a splash and go. We thought at the very end, and some of the drivers might try to stretch things out and only take a single pit stop. Now things are a little bit different tonight, that we do anticipate that our drivers will probably be able to go about 32 minutes or so on a full tank. We'll need to take 2 pit stops in order to make it, so they'll probably need to fill up tanks the whole way. So we'll see how that plays out. But in GT3 Pro for the pit stops tonight, Larry, it looks as though our drivers can probably make it somewhere around 45 minutes on a stint, depending on how they do it.
That's going to make it really interesting for a 90-minute race
Exactly.
In both classes, right? Because you get the LMP2s who are going to be able to do essentially a third of the race, fill up, a third of the race, fill up, and then go to the end, not leaving much room for flexibility. And then
That's right.
You mentioned the GT3s. Well, it's pretty much go halfway, come in, and get back going again. And you might see a lap or 2 different between these guys, but you can't really do 2 laps because that's like 10 minutes around.
That's right.
2 laps in these cars.
Yeah, we may not see anybody actually finish the cooldown lap here tonight. All right, let's take a look here as Mike Dam has made his way around Chris Thorman. He's got David Payton next on his docket there. You can see Payton in the number 64 Ferrari. Our second Canadian driver here, about 6 or 7 car lengths up the road. He's still trying to make up a little bit of ground.
That's penalty, the slowdown penalty he took must have been a pretty severe one, considering maybe where he had to serve it, because he lost about 8 or 10 seconds behind these guys. I mean, you think about it, if he was right up there with Laster and Lavender and Rodriguez, you look at where he is now. He's down that order pretty far. So I'm really surprised. He's about 11 seconds back. So that must have been a pretty severe penalty that he had to take, that he's going to have to now work really hard to catch up. These guys, though, as we get a shot of Zaraga and Bono, they have not left each other's side since the start, really.
No.
Since Gortson had the impact there, these guys have not able to separate themselves from each other, which is good. A couple of teammates having a good time, having a good scrap, as they say. And right now, looks like Victor with just a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, he got a great run out of the Ford chicane onto that front straight there.
Mike Dam able to, looks like, get past David Payton there. Now he's got our good friend Bobby Childs just in front of him. All these Ferraris, he's got to work his way through.
Yeah, and he's gotten through most of them so far, but you can see there Bobby Childs, who's currently our AM category leader. He is quite a bit up the road there. And taking a look at the gap between Dam, and you can see it there on the timing pylon, Dam to our next GT3 Pro driver, Travis Schwenke, about 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So a long way up the road. Again, long time to get there. But I think Dam, in order to get up to to that fourth place battle is certainly not going to be able to do a ton of fuel savings.
Those
here.
three up front, though, they're doing a little bit of swapping positions, which gets into the strategy. Here we see them here. You'll notice that Lavender now is in the middle of the Porsche sandwich. That's not a bad thing to do. If you can keep working on that and swapping spots, you can begin to really set a tremendous pace, pull away from the rest of the field. You can see they've already got about now 3 seconds to almost 4 seconds ahead of Travis Schwenke. And you keep working on that. Although now it looks like Laster's opened up just a bit of a gap over Lavender. He's got a very hungry Rodriguez wanting to get by.
Yeah, and you know, we see that in classes like the MX-5s or the Spec Racer Fords, Larry, obviously here, where you try to, as you're carrying maybe a little bit more speed as the tail car in the draft, you know, let that pass happen, don't contest it, let the other car get ahead, and then you basically pick up and let him pull you around for a little while, and basically just keep kind of leapfrogging around.
As we call it, co-opetition, right?
Yes.
You got to work together a little bit because they know that among the three of them, they're not going to get away unless one of them makes a huge mistake. Otherwise, you're stuck like this until the pit stops. And what you don't want to do is to let anybody else, and there they go. That's just happening right there as Laster's the sitting duck out front. I wonder if he got a slowdown. At the rate he just
I'm
backed
wondering
out.
about that as they were going too wide there down the Mulsanne. But let's take a look, and now we've got Caleb Lavender as the lead car in the bunch. Esteban Rodriguez now sitting sandwiched between Lavender and William Laster. But
because that was a pretty big run there for Lavender and Rodriguez to get on by Laster without some kind of help, and I'm wondering if Laster had picked up a course cut there, entering the Mulsanne straight. As we flash back now to Russ Ruddock there with that number 7, Tony Kernan.
Tony Kernan.
You said he didn't qualify. He did not put a single full lap in, at least in practice. So he's coming in pretty green, starting from the pits.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, and I don't think he started from the pace lap, from the grid, and actually started the race from the pit lane. So it's certainly not an advantageous start. He is sitting at the tail end of the pro category field, but he has also made it past now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other drivers.
If we had a hard charger award, here's your prime candidate. So I'd love to watch him throughout the night because we know that his pace usually picks up anyway as races go on. So it's be kind of fun to watch, see how he picks his way through the M and then through the pro traffic as we flash back to the front. And now you've got, of course, the Audi out in front of the two Porsches as they've swapped positions a couple of times. You can see, looks like Rodriguez kind of wants to fill some mirrors and maybe thought about it, but just knows that it's just not worth it. This is long race. There's no sense in poking out in that section of the track. We get word that Laster did have a slowdown penalty he had to serve back at the Tete Rouge. So
that would do it.
That would definitely do it.
But I mean, obviously, it didn't cause him to drop off all that much. He was able to still stay in contact with that lead pack. By the way, that was just an absolutely amazing shot as we were looking back from our leader at the moment, Caleb Lavender, back to. Looking back to Esteban Rodriguez as they were hard under the brakes going into Arnage. Pretty damn amazing. All right, this is a battle, Larry, that has been going on, I think, more or less from the drop of the green flag. This is the battle for second in the AM category. Steve Daniel, the number 96. Ferrari, Jeff Jacobs in the number 38 Lamborghini. Of course, Jacobs having for so long run the Mercedes AMG GT3 and moving over to the Lamborghini this year, and he seems to be pretty well at ease with the mid-engine layout.
Yeah, that's a pretty big transition. I know the Mercedes isn't like so much your classic front engine, but the engine is still in front of you, and it is a bit different than the Mercedes or than the Lamborghini that he's in now. And I find the Mercedes a relatively easy car to drive. So, but with the way things change, and we talked about in the opening, with the way the balance of performance among these cars keep changing, it might have just reached that point. It was time to try something different and new. But I'd be curious now to go and do some testing to see how has the balance changed with the changes with aero and things that have gone on through this season change here in iRacing?
Well, and so Larry, the one bit of balance that has changed is at the front of the field, where Christian Eisler now, we started off and we saw Arthur Chan hanging with Eisler very closely here, but the margin now almost 6 full seconds between our leader Christian Eisler and Arthur Chan.
Just watching him as we were on board with him a little bit, almost looks like the car's got a bit of understeer, which this car generally has a little bit of understeer, kind of a natural bit to it. But you can see him using all the curbs. Not a lot of dance. The back end doesn't move a tremendous amount until you force it to. You really have to kind of throw it in, use some trail braking. But he really is so quick through those chicane there and already now getting into the back of the GT3 field.
Yeah, and again at Mid-Ohio a couple weeks ago, what we saw and was keeping, I think, Arthur Chan very close to Eisler was the fact that they were having to work through traffic pretty much, I think, from lap 2 on. Whereas here, obviously, over the long run here, it's taken a little bit longer for our LMP2 drivers to start to make their way through the GT3 field, and the track is so wide here in most places. Also, it's not
such a juxtaposition to come from a track like Mid-Ohio. I mean, Mid-Ohio, world famous track, runs everything from sports cars to open wheel IndyCar and things like that there, and to come from there to here within a 1-week transition for these guys is a huge difference.
huge.
You talk about the traffic. I mean, how difficult it was for Eisler and Chan, those guys, how the ebb and flow of them, it would go from a 5-second gap between them to nose to tail gap gone within one straightaway because you get stuck behind some slower traffic. Here, there's almost nowhere where these LMP2s are going to get
and you
stuck.
have such a wide open view that you can more or less plan exactly how you're going to handle. Oh, and Larry, here is a huge change in GT3 Pro. Where we've got Caleb Lavender and Esteban Rodriguez and William Laster. I don't know, maybe he got another slowdown, maybe he had an issue, but there is Laster now, almost 2 full seconds back from our lead pair.
Yeah, he's definitely losing pace to them, so perhaps there was some sort of a misstep that's brought him a little bit further away, and now he's out of draft. So if these two guys, Rodriguez and Lavender, start working together, they're going to continue to pull away. Right now you can see almost 2.5 seconds there between Rodriguez to Laster, and Schwenke 3 seconds back from there. Shows you how the gaps are really starting to build between these guys just 20 minutes in.
As we have drivers heading into the Porsche curves here now. Nice twisty little section.
It's one thing about this track is you think, oh, it's 8 miles around, Mulsanne straight. How difficult the track can this really be? I find this is one of the most difficult tracks.
It is.
I do a lot of, on the platform, we do a lot of different tracks. Obviously, the Nürburgring with its 180 corners and 13 miles is always difficult, right? To get the rhythms of the bumps. This place, with some of the chicanes, becomes so critical for the Mulsanne straight, both connecting all the things, but to get in and out of them efficiently without losing a lot of time. And they're not marked very well. There's a lot of open runoff, and to figure out how much you can carry for each one. And then you get coming on the way back, you get the run out, the Mulsanne straight, you come back. How difficult it is with these varying speed, relatively high speed things to the Porsche curves, and then you get into these chicanes near the start finish, how difficult it is. This is a very tough track to get the handle. It's so easy to make big mistakes here, and it's hard to make up for it. You can see right here how someone like Laster, he's gaining back up on it, but boy, he's having to work his tail off to do it. This place is just so tough.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, after when you get out onto the Mulsanne straight and you have that long run, and then you've got the long run down to Indianapolis. I'll tell you, probably for me, the biggest issue that I have on this track is going from that kind of flat out mentality to basically standing the car on its nose down at Indianapolis and trying to get through Arnage, especially in the dark. I mean, it is just something that I can never, ever get right.
Oh, Arnage is so difficult. It's just this flat 90 in the middle of nowhere, and you've been flat out, except for the chicanes, basically flying along, because even the hairpin at the end of Mulsanne is more easily marked, but that Arnage with that guardrail on the left side, I hit that thing every time.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've brushed up against the fence there, and it's just I still cannot get it right, and to watch these guys do it lap after lap, just amazes me sometimes. This is a great battle going on here still between Bono and De Zaraga. And I think, Larry, the last time we checked in with them, they were right in this exact same place. They were coming out of the final corner, coming out of the Ford chicane onto the front straight. And when we checked in last time, Victor De Zaraga had been running in third place in LMP2, but now it is Charlie Bono, having gotten around, having made up that time that he lost, I think, 2 laps ago, if I remember correctly. Hard to imagine we're only on the 7th lap.
Yeah, and these guys, again, they're teammates, right? All three of them, between themselves as well as Jake Gorton, who's back out on track. And they're a great team, and they've got similar pace, and you can see that these guys are just having a great time. This is what Jake Gorton was talking about. He loves driving these cars and wishes there was more people out there, because you can see how much fun this battle turns out to be, especially at a track like this, where you can use some of that draft. These cars do have a bit of pull when you are that trailing car. Just kind of looking at the speeds right now. 199, 200 miles an hour, about 5 or 7 miles an hour faster for Victor as he's trailing Charlie coming into that. Just amazing speeds for these things. And it's just so much fun. They race really well.
Yeah, and as they were doing 200 miles an hour, Larry, and they dropped down to 75 to go into the chicane. So like I mean, almost out of nowhere, they're getting rid of 100 miles an hour.
180, 183. 186,
side by side,
just about 190. Yeah, they're flying side by side down the Mulsanne straight. And now it's a matter of who's going to play chicken. Looks like Victor gets the advantage going into the second chicane.
Yeah, it looks like Charlie gave that one up pretty quickly. Perhaps didn't want to take it from the inside, but got on the brakes a little bit early there. But yeah, just absolutely stunning. And it was pretty clear, Larry, that you could, as we were talking about how well they draft down the straight there. I mean, the difference is more than 5 miles an hour when they're driving side by side versus when they're nose to tail.
Yeah, and there was a bit of side draft with these things, but there's nothing like being in someone's direct tail draft in these cars. As we flash back up to the GT3, as you can see, Laster has chipped away. He's now within 1 second of Rodriguez. So Laster showing that pace and showing that, hey, guys, I'm not just a guy who gets wrecked out in these things. He just has some bad luck in this season so far. He really wants a win in a bad way for this round. And I hope that we get a chance to talk to him, win or not, but I'd like to have a chance to talk to him and get his feelings. So it's because the bad luck that he's had, we haven't had that chance to talk to him yet this season. So I'm rooting for him. I hate to say it as a broadcaster. I shouldn't be rooting for people, but I'm kind of pulling for him.
Yeah, thanks for invoking the announcer's curse there, Larry. Well, we may have to wait until Watkins Glen too.
Greg, I figured it was my turn to throw out the announcer's curse. You've been so good at it all year. I figured I'd take a stab.
I know, every single round so far this season. And I think I did it at the driver's school I was instructing at this past week.
Oh, that's real life. That's not fair. That's not nice at all.
You know.
Maybe, for anybody listening in or watching in, I'm not sure you really want to have Greg as your instructor because he will give you the jinx.
That's right.
But you are a decent driver, even when you're not, especially when you're not wrecking cars, especially at Summit Point. Back to Le Mans, though.
Yes, back away from the other long course here at Le Mans, and now Laster definitely is right back up to the back of our top 2 drivers, and you can see there as he's now only about 3/10 off of the back of Rodriguez that they're once again in lockstep.
Yeah, I just want to also point out that the other guy putting in 353s in this category is Mike Dam, who's got himself now about 3 seconds behind Travis Schwenke. So Mike Dam has made his way. He's now, look at that, 10 seconds ahead. We were watching him getting around Thorman and Payton just it seemed like 2 laps ago.
Yeah, and I believe that is Schwenke up ahead.
Yeah.
And Dam has been running about 1 to 1.3 seconds faster per lap. Again, that's over a very long distance.
Schwenke, and then the leaders. And right now, William Laster and Mike Dam are the 2 fastest cars on the track. Those 2 Porsches from Orion are both flying. Probably no coincidence that the Orion drivers are fast.
No, not at all.
But they're not the only ones that are fast, because Caleb Lavender has been quick all year long. There's been some rounds, perhaps the Porscheman had the advantage over the Audi, but he has shown his strength. He's currently the overall points leader, and as you can see, he's leading this race. Not to give many further jinx. but he is kind of the odd man out there in that front foursome, or at this point, front fivesome, with the other 4 drivers, all the Orion team. So he's got to feel a little bit like the man standing representing the D2D team, and doing quite a good job of it out there in front. And of course, Bobby Childs doing his own there in the AM category of GT3. And there he is, right on.
There he is right there.
As he's got Christian Eisler, your overall leader in LP2 end of the race. He's letting him on by. In that corner, I'd let everybody on by.
Yeah, I was going to say right there, no harm in letting him come underneath you in one of the slowest corners on the course.
Yeah. Bobby running solid right now, about 12 seconds up on the field, showing he's got pretty good pace around this place. Give an idea, he's running 3:55.1 was his last time by, his quickest lap of the race. Only about a second or so off the pace that Lavender and Rodriguez are doing out front in the pro category. So Bobby's setting a tough pace for the rest of the DM category to chase. Now behind him, of course, Jeff Jacobs and Steve Daniel having a good race, but they're doing it at the expense of about 2 seconds a lap, as these teammates are still at it.
That was that Larry was one heck of a pass there originally going into, I guess it was going into Indianapolis. I mean, it was high speed, to say the least. I was a little surprised that he was actually able to make the car stick there. But I mean, these guys, this looks like one of those sessions where if these were real race cars, they would be getting out at the end of the session and like high-fiving one another.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
These guys are racing right now, 28 minutes into an hour-and-a-half race, like the GT3 cars at Daytona last month, or whatever, a month and a half ago. Those 2 guys on their last lap, these guys are acting the same way here on the 9th lap at Le Mans. But they almost looked, I wonder if either of these guys realize there's other people in this session, or are they just driving like they're the only ones on the track?
Well, I mean, at this point, they're not coming up on any GT3 traffic. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're the only ones on the track.
They're just flying along. At some point, they're going to see some GT3 cars, but they're having such a good race, I don't even think they care.
All right, well, tell you what, Larry, we're coming up on the top of the hour here. We're just about a half hour, just about 1/3 of the way through tonight's race here from the Circuit de la Sarthe. Why don't we take a quick break, thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we will hope that Christian Eisler there, our overall leader, doesn't do anything untoward to our GT3 Pro leaders. And I think now I feel pretty safe. We can go take a break. You are watching the Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics from the Circuit de la Sarthe, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to the Circuit de la Sarthe for round 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and we are, well, just about 1/3 of the way through a 90-minute endurance race here from the Circuit de la Sarthe. And, you know, if you like what you're seeing here tonight, I know Stubby is, but if you like what you're seeing here tonight, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and click on that notification bell so you can find out about every time that Apex has some great motorsports action from around the world to show you. And of course, you can find us on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, by searching just one word, Apex Racing TV. So Larry, when we went to break, we saw that Christian Eisler had found our GT3 leaders at probably the best place you could along one of the many long straights here at Le Mans. Arthur Chan wasn't quite, quite so lucky.
He did not get the presidential treatment with the convoy moving over for him like they did for Christian Eisler. That convoy was a little bit more spread out, and on that back straight, boy, they forced Arthur to go pretty wide left. He managed to go by, no harm, no foul, but didn't look quite as easy, perhaps, as it was for Eisler when he made his way on by the 3 leaders.
Oh, and look at this great little battle here. This is the battle for 6th in GT3 Pro. We got Chris Thorman and David Payton, the 2 Ferraris. And
yeah, these guys have been at this way. Remember, we watched early on when Mike Dam had served his penalty and kind of got pushed to the back a little bit. That was a 3-car train. He was right there with these 2 guys, which now he's, of course, pulled ahead quite a bit. But these 2 have not left each other's side. This is sort of like the battle that we had going on there with Bono and Zaraga there in LMP2. This is the same sort of thing. Couple of teammates just having a good old scrap. And now we're back to other teammates having scraps. This, of course, is Travis Schwenke in the BMW, the big, pretty-nosed BMW. And then, of course, the Porsche is Mike Dam.
Yeah, and the last time we checked in with them, I believe Larry was on lap number 7, 3 laps ago. And Mike Dam was somewhere around 3.5 seconds back of Schwenke, if I remember correctly. And so now, obviously, he's pulled up. This would be for 4th place in Pro if Mike Dam can manage to get around his teammate in the BMW.
Mike Dam's last lap made him the 2nd quickest car of the entire race in this field of GT3s. William Lasser did a 3:52.9. Dam did a 3:53.1. He's flying, and if Travis is smart, he'll just he has already let him by. Now it's a matter of just trying to hitch his wagon to that tractor and hopefully
get
a little bit of pull and see how far they can go, because Mike Dam now back in 4th place. Still, though, about 10 seconds back from the leaders, but he's flying.
Yeah, he is. Now, I'll tell you, the last time by Laster turned in, and coming down the pit lane for his very first pit stop of the evening is our leader, Christian Eisler.
I expect we're going to see very quickly.
Arthur Chan in as well, Larry.
Yep, that's what I was figuring. We're going to see the 2 of them, and probably Victor de Zagaraga when he gets around. Charlie Bono has already taken his stop, but should be Victor in next, probably in about 50 seconds. But these 2 guys, we'll see if there's anything here different than just fill it to the rim and take on out of here, as Eisler's into his stop already.
And such a long run down the pit lane here as Arthur Chan now almost, about 10 seconds later, gets into his pit box. And we're not seeing the drivers, as best we can tell, we're not seeing them take any tires.
Yeah, probably not, I would think, in the LMP2s. They're pretty good on tires, probably especially a track like this where you get plenty of chances to kind of keep them cool. So they probably wouldn't be taking any. Wow! Chan getting the jump!
And so the question is going to be, is Arthur Chan now gets out of his pit box and off the pit lane ahead of Christian Eisler? That will give him, at least for the moment, will give him the lead. I mean, this is what we're going to have to see here, Larry. Perhaps Chan did a little bit shorter fill. I would suspect that he took a lot less fuel since he was into his pit stall 10 seconds after Christian Eisler was.
And my worry there is what you talked about at the opening, or early in the race. Whereas these guys, we think a little contact between he and Bobby Childs, who's leading, and then more to Christian Eisler, and that's a spin. Childs slow.
And Eisler is into the tire wall as Arthur Chan got into our leader in AM, Bobby Childs, who then ricochets into Christian Eisler. Now Eisler is
there's
managed
definite
to get that car
damage there
back
to
and moving.
Eisler. Eisler's definitely got some damage. You can see he's kind of got a little bit of a switch to the car, a little bit of sideways. That's unfortunate. And for Bobby Childs as well, who looks like he may have recovered, but he had about a 10-second lead in GT3 AM. That's now down to about 7.5. Hopefully he doesn't have much damage, but you can see the steering input there for Eisler definitely has some damage for him, as there's Bobby already backed up into those guys in the pro class from his teammates.
All right, Larry, tell you what, I think we've got the replay here queued up. So let's take a look as we're getting words now that the stewards are taking a look at this incident that we're looking at right now. Is Arthur Chan and Bobby Childs get together there? Looks like Childs, I don't know if he knew that Chan had just gotten underneath him right at the apex.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell there. It might be even, as I'm just trying to piece through it, it looked like Chan's trajectory coming out of as he was tracking out past the apex might have also brought him up towards Childs. But regardless, they didn't work too well side by side, and as Childs went off, he got into the side of Christian Eisler. Now Eisler is, as you mentioned, back underway, but he is sitting 20 seconds in arrears, and we're going to have to see what the stewards decide on this.
Yeah, when I look at that and I see the two of them side by side with Chan on the apex there, I gotta say that Bobby probably should have left him a little bit more room.
Yeah.
I do know that generally the passing car has the responsibility to make it a clean pass. I thought that he did. I know that Arthur's been involved in past races with some of these sort of intermixing and even some penalties. I'm not so sure what the stewards are going to say. They might even call this one an incident, just one of those racing incidents, so to speak. But if there's any blame, maybe a little bit to Bobby for not leaving enough room. But the real victim here, honestly, is Christian Eisler. He had nothing to do with initial contact. Once Bobby started spinning a little bit, it just caught Eisler, and you can see he's got damage. My guess is he's going to head to the pits and see how long that damage takes to repair. And that's just unfortunate for a guy who's been controlling this race from the beginning.
Yeah, so we'll see if he brings it in as we jump back up to the front of the pack. And I'll tell you, somebody call William Laster, because Arthur Chan is on the march. But back over here to the lead as we've got the drivers making their way up through the Ford chicanes and onto the front straight. Still, Caleb Lavender, Esteban Rodriguez, William Laster, and you can see there in arrears is our LMP2 leader, Arthur Chan.
And one thing to note is these GT3s, we talked about 45 minutes or so of fuel they have on board. We're about 40 minutes. That means these guys go around one more time. They'll be at about 43 to 44 minutes. They'll have to decide, is that their pit lap, or can they make it one more? Yeah, so these three together will be an interesting mix to see who can get in and out of their pit stalls. And as you mentioned, there is your race leader, Arthur Chan, right on their tail.
Yeah, and so Larry, when we talk typically during the regular season, when we're talking about fuel saving strategies, you're trying to save enough to maybe eke out another lap at a course that's maybe 3 miles or 3.5 miles at the longest. In many cases, only 2.5 miles. And there you go, as Christian Eisler comes down the pit lane, as you said, he's going to try and get some repairs done to that car and then head out on track. But obviously here, where we're talking about an 8.5 mile circuit, you can do some fuel savings, but what are the chances are over the course of a stint that you're going to be able to save enough to actually eke out an entire extra lap?
You save 4 minutes of fuel, to go all the way around again. That is a pretty long, tall order to be able to do it, but it takes quite an effort. But if you're on that margin at the end of a race, again, we're talking about a timed race, can you get to that finish without that extra stop, or even just shortening your stops by a little bit can help you a little. That's really, I think, what this game could be about. And I think the ones playing that game might be these two in the Porsches, Rodriguez and Laster. Rodriguez especially, having trailed Lavender, and we've seen already the pace that Laster can do catching these guys. I wonder if Rodriguez is going to be the one with the shortest pit stop of these three, and it could be coming up here in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would suspect that the Audi, who's now as Lavender jumped to the lead fairly early, Larry. I think it was on lap 3 that he's been dragging the rest of the field around. You know, I don't know how early he's been getting into the brakes, starting to coast around. But I can't imagine that Audi, which isn't the best on fuel to begin with, has built up any kind of advantage over the other 2 Porsches.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think that's the gamble that Caleb was thinking was, let's just control the race and hope for the best. And for Rodriguez, if he's able to do any fuel saving, just enough to shorten his pit stop, he might be able to jump out about 2 seconds or so, even could make a pretty big difference, especially if he thinks he has a pace advantage. Once he breaks that draft, he could then start to really steal the race. In the background, that's Gortson. A rough night for Jake as he's now going to let Dam and Schwenke go on by. Maybe not. He's recovered. Thought perhaps he was going to be slow, but maybe not a big contact for Jake as he's had a couple of spins tonight.
All right, and here comes the Ferrari triumvirate, led by Bobby Childs. That Larry, after that run-in with our 2 LMP2 leaders, still appears to be able to carry a decent amount of pace. He does have both Thorman and Payton behind him. Those are 2 GT3 Pro drivers, so not a battle here for position in class.
Right, but I'm sure he likes the photo opportunity to have all 3 teammates here in their color-matched Ferraris cruising through the Porsche curves. And Bobby, though, you can see corners like that. There's that difference of a guy with pace, just a little bit different. You can see how they all came out of Arnage at the same point, and here he is now with 8-10 car lengths just by getting in and out of those curves a little bit more efficiently. So good through there.
And well, for a moment there, I thought we might see him head to the pits for his first pit stop. As we said, our GT3 drivers probably getting to the very tail end. And there you go, word from the stewards. Ruled a racing incident, no action taken. So Arthur Chan, currently your leader in LMP2, and that, at least for the moment, how it is going to stay.
Yeah, and that's probably a tough call for the stewards, like we had talked about. Very tight margins there. Neither driver looked like they really caused a big incident. It just sort of happens, and probably not worth assigning any penalties there, which is good news for Arthur Chan, of course, as he's able to retain that lead. Also good news for Bobby Childs as he's putting down some pretty quick laps. In fact, just turned his quickest lap of the race. Shows you how good he was through those Porsche curves relative to his teammates and apparently relative to the rest of the AM field, because he is just cruising right now, starting to build his lead back up there. We'll see what it looks like when he comes in. Right now it's at 40 seconds, which I don't know if it should be that big. Could be a timing thing, but because Ruddock has not yet stopped. We'll see how that pays out. But he's definitely got a pretty good lead. He's got
3 pro drivers right between him. It's I think it's actually about 40 seconds, Larry. Which also I believe. Let's see here. Well, neither Ruddock nor Saunders have stopped Steve Daniels. Steve Daniel, who had been running second, did go in for his stop, as did Jeff Jacobs, which I think is why you're probably seeing that huge gap. Now, Christian Eisler is still in the pit lane. He's now been in his pit stall for about 4 3/4 minutes.
So I hope he comes back out. I'd like to see what kind of pace he can put down, but I think any chance of finishing the lead is pretty much gone. Right now, he's in 4th in class. Unless something happens in front of him, even a podium would be tough to reach for him. But it's unfortunate. Sometimes those things just happen, racing incidents, and you just kind of get caught out in somebody else's things. And it's the way it goes. It's part of racing. But looking at these 3 guys.
Yeah, I would say these 3 guys attached at the hip or maybe the quarter panel. We saw a quick shot a few moments ago of the number 14 LMP2 car, Victor De Zaraga, and I would have expected to see Charlie Bono with him, but you will notice that is not the case here, as Bono now about 15 seconds in arrears. So
Yeah.
something may have happened there.
Not sure. He looks like he's moving. He's got reasonable pace. He's 150 miles an hour out there somewhere on the track. There he
There
is.
he is.
So he's doing fine, but he definitely lost about 15 seconds somewhere. Looking at pit stops, they were about the same amount of time. Charlie did take his stop first before Victor, but at this point, big gap between them. So sad face, these two teammates aren't able to scrap any longer right now, but that was fun to outlast it. As you can see him now with Tony Kernan right there in that Porsche, right behind him. The Porsche looks huge compared to that LMP2.
It does. It almost looks like a BMW M6.
And compared to everything else, yes.
Yes.
But take a look at Tony Kernan's already come in for a pit stop. Not sure what happened there. It was a very short stop, 7 seconds. So I don't know if he had
And
to
there you
serve
go.
a
Looks
penalty
like our
perhaps.
GT3 Pro leader,
Oh, this
Caleb
is
Lavender,
interesting.
coming in for his pit stop.
But did not stop was Laster and Rodriguez. They continued. So this will be interesting that they're on a different strategy, able to stretch this out. One more stop, one more lap. And I wonder if this has to do with just enough fuel saving to stretch it out for another. Caleb, unfortunately, has to come in. But it's all about the in and the out laps, right? And we'll see what happens here. Oh, and somewhere around 8 minutes when they each do another lap. We'll see
That's
where
right.
they end up together or not.
Oh,
As
and here we go is the all of the
Bobby.
D2D E-Racing Ferraris coming in for a pit stop now. Bobby Childs pits in from the lead in AM. He's got Chris Thorman and David Payton running 6th and 7th in Pro right behind.
Everybody get a shot of espresso. The Italians are coming in for their pit
That's right.
stops.
And then the Germans are coming in for a little coffee break as well, apparently.
Tony Kernan looks like he's not too far behind them. As these two guys, now we'll see as they're trying to catch any bit of draft off of the blazing fast Christian Weiser out in front of him. It's good to see him back out on the track. A lap down, it looks like. But still fast nonetheless, as these two guys are trying to cling to him. We'll see I expect that these two will have to pit next time in as would also Schwenke and Dam. Don't know what happened
I
to
would
Mike
suspect
Dam.
that all of the Orion cars will probably be coming in on this lap.
Worth noting, Schwenke in third, 12 seconds back in that BMW. Mike Dam, not adjacent to Travis Schwenke. He is 7 seconds further back. So maybe perhaps another issue for Mike Dam. He's had one already tonight. This looks like perhaps a second.
Yeah, and I think the last time that we checked in with Dam, he was past Travis Schwenke, and yeah, I guess we didn't pick that up a little bit earlier.
We'll have to see how that plays out. And it's not a pit stop because neither one of them have taken theirs yet. We'll see. The bogey time for a pit stop. Caleb Lavender, just about 34.5 seconds. Some of these, Tony Kernan, Steve Daniels, they were in the 33s. 32 seconds for Jeff Jacobs. So solid stop there for Lavender. We'll see what these two guys, Laster and Rodriguez, do when they come in for their stop, which should be again, about a minute and a half as they're making their way up toward Indianapolis Curve.
All right, let's take a look, Larry. I think we've got a replay queued up now of Mike Dam, and we'll see exactly what happened to put him back.
He is with teammate.
Oh!
Wow. That was weird. And Travis having to take an evasive maneuver to avoid him.
Wow.
Did he touch the grass on the track to the right?
That's the only thing I can think of, the way the car snapped like that, Larry.
Wow. Because it's very strange. You look at that back straight, get a good shot of it here. As it's just sort of, there's this extended asphalt that's multicolored. I wonder if he just got too far. You can see that rear wing has taken a bit of a hit. Whoa, that's the 14 of Zaraga. We were saying he had about a 15-second advantage over Charlie Bono. My guess is that's about to be completely evaporated.
It's going to, and Zaraga's got a lot more trouble with that car. Exactly, as he's going to have to fight to bring that back to the pits there, as now Bono in the 27 goes by.
Yeah, it was weird because I wonder if he caught a little grass there in the recovery and the tires were cold.
Yeah, it just did not turn.
Yeah, but he's moving quick now. I'm looking at his pace. He's 140 miles an hour. As for a car that doesn't turn, he certainly is trustworthy.
Yeah. Well,
he's moving,
he's getting it to the apex. All right,
we
heading
go.
into the pits. Here
Leaders
we go.
are in. Laster is in. Rodriguez is not.
Not in.
Wow, how is he going to go 54 minutes plus.
We'll find out in 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes if he can,
Well,
Larry.
we were saying he was behind Caleb for a long time, and if anyone is able to save fuel, it was going to be Esteban Rodriguez.
Yeah.
This could pay off big time, as there's Travis Schwenke in the BMW coming in right behind him. Mike Dam
is in as well.
All right, everybody
Yeah,
except Rodriguez.
That's right. I mean, we knew Laster likely wouldn't be able to go as far as Rodriguez was. He spent all that time all by himself trying to catch back up after that slowdown penalty, and for the most part, the same with Mike Dam as well. So let's take a look, and we'll see. We would think that Rodriguez is going to be pitting in this next time by.
Oh, it would have to be,
yeah.
But I'm watching now. It's coming through the chicane. 1, 2, 3, 4 quick apexes for Caleb Lavender.
Laster is on his way.
Laster is out. Let's see how he gets up to speed.
And he's going to pick up the position on Caleb Lavender. Now the question is, while he has cold tires, whether or not how much he's going to be able to keep a lead there, or whether or not Lavender is going to be able to close things down.
Yeah, his pit lane time was 2.5, almost 3.5 seconds, actually faster than Lavender's, and his stopped time at his pit stall was 3 seconds faster than Lavender. And guess what their gap is out on track? It's up to 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
I tell you, that's efficient stuff right there. But now the game is between these two teammates, these two new teammates with Orion, between Laster and your current race leader, Esteban Rodriguez, who's out there somewhere trying to come in, and he would like to see a pit stop time of under 30 seconds to see if he can get this lead from his teammate. There he is, Esteban Rodriguez. Off to a pretty good start here in his Ricmotech career, I gotta say that.
Oh, and Mike Dam having some issues as he rejoins on his out lap.
Wow, just struggling tonight. And again, we know the car's got some damage already with that rear wing, but struggling with the cold tires. It must have cooled in his stop. So, there's your overall leader, that number 50, Arthur Chan.
Yeah, and at this point, Chan has over a minute advantage on the rest of the LMP2 field. I think we've got another replay here queued up. Larry, let's take a look.
Could be him on the right is Mike Dam.
And drops a wheel, driver's right.
Yeah. I think that he's catching a little bit of grass. This place is really issuing big penalties for putting an inch of a tire on that edge of the grass. As we know, that looks like the second time in the last, 2 laps or so, 3 laps now that he's done that. Arthur showing some patience to get on by Russ Reddick. No reference to prior incident at that corner. His lead right now, about 1.5 minutes over Charlie Bono, and then to Victor De Zaraga in third. Those guys have swapped positions after De Zaraga's spin. About 7 seconds between those guys. We should be seeing an Esteban Rodriguez shortly approaching.
Yeah, I would think pretty soon. Looks like John Casey is coming for his pit stop, and yeah, here we go. Let's take a look at Esteban Rodriguez. We're getting right to pit in, and there he is, onto the pit lane. Esteban Rodriguez takes what should be his sole stop of the evening, if he doesn't run off the pit lane, that is.
Oh,
gets it down to speed.
Commentator's curse. So he is in. The bogey time for stop is 31 seconds. Should put him alongside his teammate when he comes out. Anything faster than that's going to be a big advantage for him. And given the amount of time he was able to save, we think, save fuel trailing Caleb Lavender, and the fact that he was able to go 1 extra lap says to me he's got a chance to do this and be in the lead by more than a car length if he can get this fuel just right.
All right, and we are watching our previous leader, actually still, for the moment, our leader in GT3 Pro, Esteban Rodriguez, taking his pit stop as we now track William Laster, who's coming into the Ford curves. And Rodriguez now still in his pit stop, and Rodriguez now on his way. Larry, that was a real short pit stop.
That's 4 seconds shorter than Laster's. Laster, you can see him there on the front straight going past the pits, and there is Esteban Rodriguez, and there's that teammate. It should be about 3 to 4 seconds gap, and you can see 2.5 for Rodriguez. Wow, what efficiency to be able to go that extra lap. Now he's got to make sure his tires are up to temp and to make his way down, and hopefully for him, keep that gap away from draft range. But we know Laster's got pace. Now we'll really get to see what kind of pace does Rodriguez have, as he's all alone with about 33.5 minutes to go in this race.
And Laster already is starting to knock some time off there, Larry. He's knocked a couple tenths off just since they hit the pit lane, as Rodriguez is trying to get some heat in the tires and heat in the equipment here. Lavender, though, and I mean, this is, I think, probably the biggest surprise of all. Lavender, who is our first of our top 3 to pit, now sitting almost 9.5 seconds back from the lead.
Well,
here.
Lavender's pit stop was 7 seconds slower in his stall than Esteban Rodriguez. Gives you an indication how much fuel Esteban was able to save sitting behind him. It shows you the raw pace that Esteban has, that he could play that game. But Laster, speaking of raw pace, might actually have the better pace. Look at this. Through that first chicane, picks up 0.4 of a second, and now he can almost sniff the draft off the back of that teammate, Orion Porsche. Boy, this is going to be a heck of a dogfight. An hour-and-a-half race is going to come down to these two guys. I'm going to call it. These guys are going to be nose to tail here in about 2 minutes, and I think they're going to be stuck that way for the next 30. This is going to be an exciting finish. Stubby, hopefully you've hit the bathroom there somewhere back before the race started so you can watch the end of this thing. It's going to be a pretty good one.
All right, and our leaders are coming up on some slower traffic. I think that's Robert Brist in the number 51 machine ahead. Actually, I believe our sole Mercedes in the field here this evening.
Does look like it.
And I'm sure Rodriguez will be looking to pick up a bit of a draft from that machine. A little far back at this point to do so.
Anything he can get at this point, he'll take it and try to pull away from his teammate Laster, because Laster showed some pace getting onto the Mulsanne straight and as well to the first chicane. They look pretty equal coming out. Rodriguez, though, would love every little bit of toe he can get. He wants the toe, but then he's gonna want that car to move over as quickly as possible. He's gonna say, "Hey, Robert, would you mind? I need to get by. I'd like to pass." But he's gonna snuggle up to the back of him coming off of that corner and make his way on by. There he goes. And not losing an ounce to teammate Laster, a 1.5 seconds back. You'd love to keep that car between them as they go through the curves.
And we'll see here as Laster's probably going to have to wait. He's going to have to wait at least till they probably come out of the curves here. Yeah, and you can see
Brist is just not comfortable going offline, and who would blame him without his tight. Brist is he didn't move. He doesn't have to, right? But he wants to obviously get out of the way. But you don't want to put yourself in harm's way by going offline when you're not comfortable. And those curves, they require a rhythm. If you haven't driven this track much, there's a serious rhythm to that whole section. You get off that rhythm, and it really hurts a lot.
You can find yourself into one of those banded tire walls, exactly.
Yeah. So Robert's not trying to block William Laster by any means. He's just running his own race, and Laster now lead 3 seconds.
3 seconds, lost 1.5 seconds in that section of track.
Yeah, so time to go back to work. He's got 30 minutes. He knows he's quicker in certain spots, so time to start reeling that big fish back in.
He did it once. I mean, he was from that far back early on after getting that slowdown, managed to work his way back up to, at the time, let's try this again, Lavender and Rodriguez. So we'll see here. I mean, the difference now, obviously, is that Rodriguez should have some heat in his tires. Won't be as much of a sitting duck as when he had come straight off the pit lane. Is Arthur Chan now coming into the pit lane?
Mm-hmm. This is as expected, right? We knew that he would have to come in earlier than the other LMP2s because his first stop
was very short.
So quick. With that substantial margin, not nearly as critical, but I think it will be fun to watch Christian Eisler pick his way through the field because he's right in the middle of all the GT3s, and for position even. As you can see him there, it looks like the car's back working order as he was in the pits there for about 6.5 minutes. So basically like 2.5 laps, and he is down 2 laps. So he'll probably still have to come in for a splash and go, even if he took fuel there at his repairs. But he's running a quick pace. Car's repaired. He did a 3:29 his last time by, which is as quick as anybody's run the entire race. So Eisler, happy the car's running. Not sure he can put it back on the podium, but he's going to have a lot of fun trying for the next 30 minutes.
All right, and Arthur Chan back on his way. Still holds almost 1 3/4 minute advantage over Charlie Bono, our second place runner in LMP2.
Eisler gets one of his laps back. As these two teammates are still at it.
Bill.
Yeah, Peyton and Thorman. That's Bobby Childs.
That's Childs, our
Bobby Childs.
AM leader.
Yeah.
Looks like Thorman is about 35 car lengths back from this pair.
Yeah, I know. I expected to see these guys there, and I thought maybe Bobby had an advantage, but not to be, as Bobby is making his way through again. Now he's got that pesky David Peyton teammate behind him, the pro class entry.
But this is also the part of the track, Larry, where Childs seems to stretch things out, or had been stretching things out over Peyton a little bit earlier. Actually, not right here, but we'll get them as they
when they got to the
curves.
Yeah, the Porsche curve seemed to be where Bobby was so much quicker, whereas here in the chicane section down the Mulsanne, not quite an advantage, although he does get a pretty good hook out of the hairpin there.
Yeah, he does.
At the end of the straight, but Peyton's going to hang with him a little bit. And there you can see in the background, teammate Chris Thorman, the third of those 3 D2D Racing Ferraris. And Mike Dam out in front of them after all his troubles tonight. Still in 5th in class, but pretty big margin now as he's about 25 seconds or so behind teammate Travis Schwenke.
Yeah, and in this, as we were watching this this shot where we saw Thorman back behind Childs and Peyton, Tony Kernan also in the somewhat further back as well. And
Bobby's got a wrinkle to that rear wing. That might be from that contact, that minor contact there. I should say a little bit more than minor, I guess, with Christian Eisler after the near miss there from Arthur Chan. So Bobby maybe not running a full song with that wrinkle in the rear wing, but he certainly still has pace. Let's see how this gap goes between these guys. Currently at about a half a second between them as they start entering these curves. We'll see how good Bobby is. There's actually a little off apex there. Peyton looking pretty solid though. Peyton looking really good through the early part of these curves. Catches that grass. Like Dan will tell you, that's not a good thing.
Not a good place to do it.
Maybe that's the one spot you can get away with it. It's the grippy part of the grass. Unlike back there before Indianapolis or after the Dunlop curves. As there's our leader. But there's second place. We said
he's coming,
the pace
Larry.
for Laster is there. Laster did a 3:51.8 last time by far the fastest thing anybody's put down. That's about 8/10 faster than anybody's lap in a GT3 car here tonight.
And more importantly, it was 1.2 seconds or 1.4 seconds faster than Rodriguez ran. That the last time we checked in, Laster was a full 3 seconds in arrears, and now as you can see, it's sitting right about 7/10.
Yeah, Laster is saying, "All right, Esteban, let's do this." With still 25 minutes to go, so this is far from over. This isn't even going to be close to over, even as Laster catches in on him. This is going to be a fun one to watch. Laster's got the pace, but Esteban might also be saving some tire for the end run. He might know that Laster was coming. And this will be a fun little dogfight. Because we also know Laster's had some issues early on, right? He had to serve a couple of slowdown penalties. He had to kind of work his way back up.
Yeah.
So not sure how much tire he's going to have left. And again, we typically in this Ricmotech series run an hour and 15 minutes. This an hour and 30. Not as much tire wear here, maybe at Circuit de la Sarthe and some of the other tracks, but still, it's a longer format. And how much car is left under both these guys coming up to the last 25 minutes is kind of the question to be answered. If I were driving, they'd probably seen the carbon fiber from the rims come spinning out from underneath. I'd be wearing those tires so much. I have no patience for tires. I'd stare about 2 laps. These guys are amazing that they can go now.
That they can do it for
19
so
laps
long.
around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still running 351s around here. Laster, is he going to set him up for a pass now? Just take the rhythm and go?
Or do you think that, given that it's still very obvious that Laster has a little bit better pace here than Rodriguez, do you think that maybe Laster just kind of sits there and waits, and maybe tries to, maybe waits to, I don't know, maybe the 15-minute mark, maybe another 10 minutes or so.
There's something to be said about collecting as much data, trailing somebody as you could possibly get. When you think you've got it all, you think you know where you're faster. One way to check that is to pull in front of them and see if you really are faster in those spots.
That's true.
It doesn't always work out that way, but it's a good way to verify your data, your scientific method there. For Laster, though, he's looking racy. These two teammates, I believe they were even teammates prior to joining this new Orion team for them. I think these two probably know each other a little bit, probably race together a lot. Wouldn't surprise me if at this point it's just having some grins and just to pass for the heck of it. But wide entry there for Rodriguez coming into the four chicanes here.
But you also noticed that coming into it, he really took off quite a bit of that last apex. Yeah. Had the right wheel over and was able to straighten the exit out quite a bit, and I think picked up maybe half a car length on Laster at that point. As Eisler now, probably running very angry, has made his way through.
I have a hard time picturing him angry. We've interviewed him a couple of times.
Yeah.
He always comes off as just, happy-go-lucky, just happy to be here, despite putting a beat down on the rest of the field typically. Yeah. But obviously tonight, having the bad luck instance there, I still think he's in there just smiling away, having a good time driving his LMP2, picking his way through this traffic. And these are for position, by the way, because of that incident. He just passed Mike Dam for position coming into the Ford curves, and he's turning lap times. He did a 3:29.3 last time by. We'll keep our eye on what this one might be, but he's got some amazing 3:32 this time. But again, he's probably passing all those GT3s. He's got himself up into the top 10 overall in the race right now. Still about 5 spots to go to get up back into ahead of all the GT3s.
And I'll be interested to see here as Arthur Chan is coming out of the final corner onto the front straight, what his current pace is now on his first flying lap after that pit stop.
3:31s.
Yeah.
It's good pace. He's not giving anything up for sure, and that's probably the best move. You don't want to post around too much. You just get out of rhythm, especially at this track and that back straight. Some of the straightaways you can kind of shake it off a little bit, but Laster, forget talking about Arthur Chan. Let's talk about Laster right now. He's just sitting like a shadow. He easily could have gone by and decided, no, I'll just sit right here and get a good
He
look
basically
at that.
parked himself in the back seat of Esteban Rodriguez's Porsche there for a moment. And I was going to say that, the thing, even as Eisler is working for position and moving up, he's still a lap down from our LMP2 leader. Yeah. And the chances of him being able to unlap himself and work his way back around pretty, I think, slim to none here as our two leaders in GT3 Pro side by side. We've got the 31 Laster drivers left.
We have a new leader in GT3
just
Pro.
drove right around the outside.
Yeah. I thought maybe he was going to sit back there like a set of golf clubs in the back of the Porsche and just go along for the ride, but he decides, nope, he's going to go right around, and now he's going to verify that data I was talking about and see if he really is faster in those spots that he thinks he was.
Well, needless to say, he was able to step out from the draft pretty darn easily, Larry.
Well, now we get to see, we haven't been able to see the real raw pace on Esteban Rodriguez all night. Obviously, for the first third of the race, half of the race, stuck there behind Caleb Lavender, and then maybe he was saving some tire knowing that eventually Laster was going to catch him. So it's time to show your hand, young man, and show us what kind of pace you really have there in the number 29.
As we've got 20 minutes remaining now here from Le Mans. And again, your leaders in LMP2, Arthur Chan, Victor De Zaraga, Charlie Bono in GT3 Pro. We're watching two of them right now. William Laster is your leader with Esteban Rodriguez running second. And then about 10 seconds in arrears, our former leader, Caleb Lavender in GT3. Your leader is Bobby Childs. Running second, Steve Daniel. Third, Jeff Jacobs. And you can see there right now Bobby Childs with almost a 17-second advantage on the rest of the AM field.
Yeah, Bobby running just a solid run tonight. Still, though, Dave, That's the 64
Oh,
there.
and Peyton's
Peyton
gonna
behind him.
try to dive to the inside. Not quite close enough.
Arthur Chan's hoping he doesn't because he's right behind them saying, guys,
Yeah.
you just go ahead and stay in line. Bobby going around. Yes,
And
he
Bobby
does.
Childs, yeah. Oh,
He's gonna-
horrible timing.
He's still in the lead in class, but giving a little bit of opportunity now for Steve Daniel to catch him.
And Steve Daniels, there he is, coming out of the corner right now. About
Bobby
actually less
just
than
wanted
5,
to have
about
some
4 seconds
excitement.
back.
Bobby just wanted us to talk about him, I think is what it was.
Yes.
He was so long since we had mentioned Bobby's name. He said, I got to give those boys something to talk about. As he just did. Spins it there at the curve. Now he's got to try and fight, get the rhythm back in, shake off the nerves, and stay ahead of the always steady and fast Steve Daniel, who's now just 3 seconds back.
I wonder if that previous corner where Peyton stuck his nose in for a second, I wonder if it just kind of got Bobby out of his rhythm there.
Yeah, I kind of want to do an in-race interview with him and say, Bobby, what's going on? But not tonight. We'll set that up for another day. Those who watch some of these Ricmotech races will know that every once in a while Bobby will join us here in the booth.
Yes, but that's usually not while he's still driving, Larry.
I think we got to put it in today. We got to get him back in here. Not saying that you and I aren't doing a fantastic job, but it'd be a lot of fun to hear Bob, especially here in the Mulsanne Straight with so much time. I'm sure he'll be able to talk.
He definitely brings color to the broadcast, without a doubt.
Certainly does. All right, so back to the leaders here, GT3 Pro, Laster and Rodriguez. Now it's Rodriguez playing the chaser, Laster playing the rabbit out in front.
Yeah, and Rodriguez, he's got the pace. He's not losing any ground. Obviously, there in the draft, he's able to pull right back up to the back of the 31 machine.
And about a lap, probably less than a lap, we're going to see a Christian Eisler catching up to them as he's back there, just having gotten around Caleb Lavender, but 10 seconds back from these guys. They're probably around the start-finish curves. It won't be the first LMP2 to get by them, though. That's going to be Charlie Bono there, currently running third in class, making his way around the leaders in GT3 Pro. And there's Eisler behind him. You can see him back there, the white, blue, and red. Probably by the time we get to Indianapolis, Eisler's going to be right on the back of these guys. Now, Eisler's catching up to Charlie Bono, but Bono is a lap ahead. But even if Ice was able to make the pass, he'd only be unlapping himself, not passing for position. But he's gaining quickly. We're on board now. He's gaining quickly. You're going to see the pair, the leaders, G3 Pro, probably just past Indianapolis. You can see him. Boy, he's so fast.
Here we go. Going to be the quick left, then quick right through Arnage. 90-degree, or maybe not so quick right.
It's a slow right.
Yeah.
Slowest right-hander on the track.
There we go, right there. Don't hit that wall.
All right, so he's going to make his way on by them. And, try and find a way to unlap himself for the next 16 minutes and probably find a way to see if he can not stop for fuel again in the this race. He knows these two are in a battle in front, so he's going to pick his spot wisely. He's not going to disrupt the lead in GT3 Pro. Smart move when you're 2 laps down in 4th place.
And when you've been here before and it didn't work out that way.
Yeah. He knows it's just not worth disrupting what's going on in front of him.
Well, we'll see.
Nah, it's a good little squirt spot. He could break a little later. No, he's still going to stay behind him. Thought perhaps he would take the opportunity, but being the gentleman he is, he's just going to wait. Maybe catch him after the 4 games. There he goes. He just didn't want to catch one and not the other, I think, is his worry.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to break up this battle. Looks like he might be kind of doing that, but there's already a second between them. Doesn't want to hold up Esteban Rodriguez in any way. Look at Laster being a gentleman as well, letting him through. Look at that, no harm, no foul. Everything resets. It's a half a second between Laster and Rodriguez, and game on. 15 minutes to go.
And repeat. Wash and repeat.
Yes. But Laster so quick getting on to this Bolson straight. You can see he picked up about 2/10 there. Now, of course, Esteban's in the draft and roll him back in, but Laster is so quick through that corner, and he seems to be pretty quick here in this first chicane. So watch that time delta, currently at a half a second of closing. Let's see what it looks like when they come out of this first one. As they go for the brakes in 3, 2, 1. On the brakes, kick the cone. Look how efficient he is through this chicane. He picks up about 2.5 to 3/10.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, I would say he picks up a good chunk of time there. When you watch them go down the straight, and as we were marveling at the top speed of the LMP2s, the Porsches were doing 185 for Rodriguez, 181 for Laster, which nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, he's just. Yeah, when you're in the draft, your speeds are ridiculous. When you're 181 miles an hour without a draft, very impressive for a Laster.
All right, so they're out of the second chicane. Going to make that run down to the right-hander at Mulsanne, that high-speed right-hander.
But Rodriguez here, keeping it close. He'd like to be, 3/10 off of Laster's tail coming out of this hairpin. There he is, about that 3/10. That's good timing.
There he goes, picks it all back up right there.
That was solid. He's even got a shot if he wants to get a lead back. I think he wouldn't mind that if he could pull this pass off before they get to Indianapolis. Is he going to go left? Is he going to go right? Is he just going to be patient?
Yeah, but it looks like the 31 just kind of ekes things out just a little bit there, Larry.
I'm watching. I'm thinking Rodriguez lift a little bit. You can see he got to about a 10.5 back and decided to just sort of lift and wait. I don't know if he's thinking he's got to save some fuel to get to the end, or if he's just playing the patient game and doing the data collection from this end. I don't expect either one of these guys to make a mistake, so it's not that kind of race where you can just sort of, wait the guy out for him to make the big mistake.
Right. It's not.
These
it's
guys
not
are-
going to come. Yeah.
Not happening here. Look at this. Tony Kernan still picking his way through the field. That's the 60 of Chris Thorman. Kernan now to 7th in pro class. Not bad for a guy who started the pits. Not even a qualifying lap, but I looked. He didn't turn a practice lap tonight.
None.
So he literally joined the session, started from the pits, and went. Now, he may have gotten a couple laps in over the week or two, whatever, since the last race. Still, though, impressive run here for Tony Kernan. He just looks like he's having a good time. As he's got, looks like Robert Brist in that AMG out front. Looks like out in front of him.
Yeah, Kernan made his way around Bristol this time, as opposed to when we were watching Arthur Chan try to deal with Robert Brist earlier. Looks like both Kernan and also Thorman able to make good work of him.
Kernan is there. Look up ahead. You can see it. That should be the 64 of David Payton. So Kernan, not out of the question to think that maybe he could catch another spot here in pro class and end up in the top 6. Would be pretty impressive for his run here. Only 11 minutes to do it. That's going to be about, 3 laps around this place? Depending on when the leader crosses start-finish. It could be a 4th lap. You can see there's the closing gaps.
Wow.
Look at the graphics. Look at our guys in the truck. Are on it tonight. He is gaining on Payton by almost a second and a half a lap.
1.7 seconds.
Yeah. And so right now the gap is 3.5 seconds. So 2 laps away, you're going to see a Tony Kernan right on the heels of a David Payton.
And you see there how the gap is, how the delta between Kernan and Payton has grown exponentially. It seems over the last 5 laps or so. I'm wondering if Payton is starting to wonder whether or not he has enough fuel to make it to the end.
There's always that fear, especially with the problem with this track is if you mistime it, you got a whole 8 miles. You still got to go around. Oh, here you go. Rodriguez still behind Laster, but as close as he's been, backs out of it before the braking zone. Playing that game.
It's a long way to ride the starter motor, Larry.
It really is. You'll burn that sucker out before you get down the Mulsanne straight.
That's right.
You want to make this is not the place to cut fuel down to the last tenth. That's for sure. This isn't exactly like Summit Point. You know? This isn't your 2 mile track or like the track we had for the Miatas, the Scottish track. Yeah, Knock Hill, where it was only about a mile around that place. Yeah. Where you could be off
55-second laps or something like that.
Yes, this is the exact opposite. But this is turning into quite a finish here between Laster and Rodriguez, the two newest entries to Orion Racing, putting on quite a show out here in front. This is impressive. Rodriguez now again, he's that 10th behind. Is he going to pop? Is he going to pop? Or is he going to push him?
Showing the nose a tiny bit. Well, let's see. Oh, and Laster goes to cover driver's left.
Nobody moving yet. Nobody flinching. This is fun.
Yeah, this is where it's going to definitely get interesting, Larry, as we watch to see what Esteban Rodriguez picks to do. You know, whether or not he's going to try to basically just draft pass right on by, or whether or not he's going to try and shove the nose, late break in what is basically an equal machine.
It looks like he's quicker coming off the hairpin, so his best chance, from what I can see, might be before they get to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's a good long run. If he can really nail that, he looks quicker there, maybe even coming out of the first chicane if he gets a good run. But we know Laster's had some strong exits there. So for Rodriguez, this might be his 2 best shots. Maybe out of the second chicane, try and get him before the hairpin, especially if he knows, if he thinks he's got a better run off of that hairpin, might be a chance to stretch it a little bit. Because once you get past Indianapolis, you get into this stretch, it's tough to make any pass at all, because it's just a lot of twisties, and Laster looks as good as anybody through those.
All right, only 7 minutes remain here from Le Mans for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge.
You guys are putting in, look at that lap time, 3:53.1. Tony Kernan, 3:53.9 last time by. Just give you an idea how fast Kernan's picked up the pace. It's one of those what ifs, you know? He's still trying to run down David Payton out there in front of him, now under 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
But boy, what could have been had he started this race with a bit of practice and been able to get on the qualifying, put this up there. He might be giving Kel Lavender a run for his money. He's going to be giving David Payton a run for his here within the next lap, I would suppose. You can see him. He knows he's there. As we flash back to Rodriguez, what a great shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, Larry, just in the time that we were covering Tony Kernan, he picked up another half a second on David Payton. Let's take a look here as they make the run down into the first chicane.
Well, you were saying Laster maybe could have run this last 20 minutes behind Rodriguez and then popped on the last lap if he wanted to. He went earlier. Now the question turns to Rodriguez. Does he wait? Because he looks like he's just happy tucking in behind and biding his time. Probably still at least 2 laps to go. Again, all going to depend on where Arthur Chan is when he catches that white flag. That's when the clock runs down. That's what's going to matter for everybody else and how much fuel they decided to take on.
That's right. Now we saw Chan pass our 2 GT3 leaders last lap, Larry. So there's Chan right now.
As he's still running 3:32s, good solid laps, nothing crazy, just putting in times. Victor De Zaraga in second spot overall. He's almost 2 minutes back, but he's got about a minute or so advantage on teammate Charlie Bono for that second spot for Victor, third for Charlie. Solid night for Victor Zaraga. And there's Charlie there in third. Saw him have that spin, gave up a spot, but still right now in a position for a podium. About a lap and a half or so ahead of Christian Iceland. And Jake Gordson finally at some point decided to call it quits tonight. Probably got enough of this practice in. It's a tough track. Hopefully we'll see him ready to go at the next round.
That, and he had a chance to talk to you, Larry. I mean, what else does he have to live for? So
maybe that just, he said, you know what, I better not end up on a podium. I don't want to talk to that guy again.
Ended on a high note. All right, here comes our leader, Arthur Chan, making his way through the S's here. and when he crosses the stripe, we'll have about what,
This
3.5
is going to be
minutes
interesting.
remaining.
I'm looking at this. He's running 3:32s.
And
All
we're
right.
going to have just
Does
about
he-
3.5, a little bit less than 3.5 left.
Is he getting a white flag? It does
I
not look like it.
Don't think so, Larry. Did not
So-
see the white flag in the air.
No white flaggy means 2 more lappies. By the way, I'm seeing this. He's going to come by one more time to take that white, which means hope everybody carried enough fuel for that extra lap, because I think that's what's going to happen.
Blame Arthur.
Yes, blame him for his good pace tonight, for forcing you to go around another 8 miles of Circuit de la Sarthe. And for Arthur, he might be another one. Now, he did stop right at that 1 hour mark, so we think he should be good, assuming he topped off his fuel tank. We'll see if everybody behind him decided to take enough as well.
All right, heading into the Dunlop curve on what should be their penultimate lap now is William Laster, our leader in GT3 Pro, teammate Esteban Rodriguez close behind. And Larry, and I think a lot of this will disappear when they get to the Mulsanne, but it looks like Laster maybe opened up another car length and a half on the 29.
I think Rodriguez just got something. He went really wide coming out of one of the left-hand or the right-hand curves, got really wide left, and suddenly that gap jumped over a second. I wonder if he got a little slowdown. It's a weird place. I'm not sure if there is one there, but he certainly looked, maybe if nothing else, loose and just didn't get the momentum. You can say, okay, he's coming back again, but he had lost a little bit of time there. We expected him to be about 3/10 back coming onto the straight, not 7 or 8. A little recovery there. See if the same pace for Lasker going through the first chicane. Again, able to stretch that margin by a couple tenths. Not enough to break any draft as Rodriguez still is going, but it does take away a potential passing zone for Esteban. A little bit of wiggling, a little swerving to try and break that maybe. I wonder if these guys are on comms together being teammates. That's always fun. It's always fun to say to the guy, how about if I pass you here? Nope, not yet. I'm going to pass you here. Nope, not yet.
Nope. Well, he closed down considerably there going into the last chicane, or the second chicane, Larry.
I wonder if Esteban breaks just a little bit later, and it works well for that second chicane more so than the first. With that maybe slightly faster entry. Not going for a pass here, though, as he's backing off a little bit. I wonder if there's something going on with the timers here. I don't know if he caught a slowdown, because now it looks like it's over a second again.
Yeah, I wonder if he got a slowdown coming out of the second chicane. Because, yeah, you saw there, he just let out of the throttle.
Either that or he's
halfway
just
down
playing
to
games
Mulsanne.
here. I don't know. It's some strange things going on.
Team
but
orders.
Yeah. What's not strange is Arthur Chan just putting in lap after lap after lap. As he next time up here should be catching a white flag, we believe.
Yeah, as
although
you
the
can see
timer
there with about 20 seconds remaining on the
says
clock.
Checkers. We'll see if we see a checker.
Well, yeah, there we go. We hit the 130 mark, and yeah, that's it. Arthur Chan takes the checkered flag. He's going to be your winner tonight from Le Mans. So this is the very last lap for our GT3 drivers as they are now making the run and making the run down towards the curves.
But this is it. Esteban, he knows it now. He knows, he's been told by a spotter this is it, but that gap does not look good for his sake.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that he's running out of fuel, Larry.
I do too. That fuel stop was awfully short. Oh no. And that might be why he was backing off in some spots. May have had a little bit of fuel starve in those chicanes. Oh, well.
And there you go.
He's got 8 seconds ahead of Caleb Lavender for second, so he thinks if he can coast to the end and hold on to it.
Well, here we go, coming into the Ford chicanes, It is William Laster, who also appears to be just a slight bit off the pace. So much so that now that Rodriguez is making up ground, Larry. They may.
Oh, this is it.
Oh my God!
What's gonna happen?
And Rodriguez is gonna take the
Wow.
win, Larry. Laster's gonna finish second as they come across the stripe. There we go.
These guys are not gonna make it around for a cooldown lap.
No,
that's for
and
sure.
you can see they're pushing one another around as Laster came into the Ford chicane. He came out of the gas, Larry, or at least it appeared, although he seems to have just enough gas now to make it along. But Esteban Rodriguez, he takes the win tonight here at Le Mans. Coming across, going to give him, he's only got another couple corners to go, but most likely finishing second here in LMP2 is going to be Victor de Zaraga. And that means Charlie Bono, short of any major catastrophe, is going to come home in third in LMP2.
Oh, look behind him. That's the battle of Peyton and Kernan. Kernan's going to nose across just ahead
of David Payton
for sixth there in class. Wow, what a finish there between those guys. And here is your winner of the GT3 AM, Bobby Childs, after his spins tonight. Danny Sullivan-esque coming out of Indianapolis, of all places. He gets a spin and still takes home the win in GT3 AM by about 8 seconds over Steve Daniel.
That's right, spin and win for Bobby Childs. Still waiting for Steve Daniel, Jeff Jacobs. And actually, I think Jacobs and Daniel have already taken the checker there, so they will finish second and third tonight in GT3 AM. And there is Charlie Bono. He's going to take the last step on the podium.
Getting his money's worth tonight, getting that full-on lap around, going to come home tonight with a podium. Could be a happy man right there. Good night there for the reverse grid team, taking home second and third in LMP2. Solid race tonight.
All right, so tell you what, Larry, as we've got these folks have all crossed the line and no doubt making their way, some of them, they're not going to finish that cooldown lap, but hopefully we will see them in the green room here in just a few moments. Let's take another quick break. Going to thank our sponsors and come back here in just a few moments. You've just seen the finish of round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge from the Circuit de la Sarthe. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, we're back here at Le Mans. You've just seen the finish of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, round number 5. And let's take a quick, before we go and run down the final order,
Yes.
There was a bit of an incident coming out of the very last corner, Larry, heading towards the start-finish line
Well,
that
we were
the
talking
stewards
about
have
it.
under review right now.
Yeah,
Let's
we were
take a look.
talking about Tony Kernan and David Payton coming together right there on that last corner. Well, that's going to be tough for the stewards to make any judgment there.
Yeah, they were side by side coming through the Ford chicane, tapped not once but twice. And there he goes. Tony Kernan gets and makes his way around. Let's take a look at the final finishing order. And if we need to make some adjustments, I'm sure we can. Taking the win tonight in LMP2, Arthur Chan from Axon Driving Solutions with Victor de Zaraga and Charlie Bono, both from Reverse Grid Racing, finishing on the second and third steps of the podium. Christian Eisler had that incident mid-race, and unfortunately, he finishes 2 laps down in 4th. In GT3 Pro, Esteban Rodriguez at the stripe takes the win over his Orion Racing teammate William Laster. Caleb Lavender from D2D E-Racing will take the last step on the podium with Travis Schwenke and Mike Dam, also from Orion Racing, finishing 4th and 5th. And then in GT3 AM, there we go. We said it, spin and win. Bobby Childs from D2D E-Racing, he got caught up in that incident, both with Arthur Chan and also Christian Eisler. Had another little off, but still manages to come home on the top step of the podium in his D2D E-Racing Ferrari. Steve Daniels in the SKKJ Racing machine, also a Ferrari, will finish 2nd. Jeff Jacobs in his StreetSurvival.org Lamborghini comes home on the last step of the podium with Russ Ruddock and Andre Saunders finishing 4th and 5th, respectively. All right, so Larry, I'm taking a look at the green room.
I'm also looking at the photo op on the start finish line. I'm only seeing 2 cars because I don't think our third winner has fuel to get there. I can see Arthur Chan, I see Bobby Childs. I don't think Esteban Rodriguez's car was going to go.
Well, you know what? I
see.
I think we can bring in Esteban Rodriguez, Larry.
I think so.
The car may not be there, but I think Esteban Rodriguez might have just hopped out and caught a scooter back to the pit lane. So tell you what, why don't we bring in Esteban Rodriguez, our winner tonight in GT3 Pro, newly signed to Orion Racing.
Esteban Rodriguez, our winner in GT3 Pro tonight. Esteban, what an amazing race. An hour and a half, comes down to the last couple of straightaways and corners between you and your teammate. And there's a lot of stuff going on in those last couple of minutes. Walk me through that.
Yeah, that was a stressful race. Just a whole lot of saving fuel. And
did you save enough?
No, well, the car sputtered as I crossed the line.
Yeah, it looked like, from what we can tell, it looks like even as you started the last lap, you kind of had it running wide, slowed down a little bit, caught up, coming out of the section chicane. A little bit of, was that again some fuel starve, or what was going on with those?
Yeah, just we cut it way too close. Me and William, the reading that Caps gave us was totally wrong. We didn't compensate for the extra laps, so it was pretty awkward there at the end.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, it could have been a lot worse. Arthur Chan caught the checkered with about 4 seconds into the 90 minutes. Had it been 5 seconds the other way, you'd have been doing a whole other lap. So a little luck kind of went your way. Fantastic race, though. You had a great run going between yourself and Caleb and William. Were you doing some fuel savings behind Caleb through that first stint?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was surprised he went for it. He had an open door to save fuel behind us. He could have had double draft, but instead he went for it. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll save fuel behind you. And although we did cut it close at the end, we still had a healthy gap from Caleb. So it was a little stressful, but it could have been way worse. We could have had a couple cars on top of us.
Yeah, that it turned out to be great battle between you and teammate there. And I say teammate, you guys are now, let's get to it. You guys part of a new team for you guys. Walk me through a little bit who you got in the Orion team.
Yeah, Orion contacted us and we thought it was a good fit. And honestly, it's been great so far.
Yeah, I tell you what, you guys set the pace tonight, locked out the front row, and just ran a solid race between you and teammate William there. Great run. Another win for you. You got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. It puts me in a good spot in the championship, and I got 2 of my favorite tracks and probably 2 of the best tracks in the service coming up here with Watkins Glen and Road America. So I'm looking forward to that. Thankfully, Le Mans is behind us. It's probably my least favorite track. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 2 races.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. By the way, those are also 2 of my personal favorite tracks. They are some of the best. It's going to be a lot of fun with a couple rounds to go. Anybody else you want to thank tonight for this victory?
Well, I want to thank William for helping me practice. We didn't really prepare too much for this race. I find practicing at Le Mans to be a bit dreadful, but he still helped me prepare. As always, he makes an amazing setup for the Porsche. We're still trying to understand this new update and how the GT3 cars handle. Um, I want to thank Orion for bringing me in. It's really nice to have 2 other drivers to drive with and like bounce ideas off of and like compare times with. It's always a huge help to have more drivers helping you out in the same series. And I want to thank you guys for putting up such a great broadcast and such a great series.
Well, appreciate that, and congrats on the win tonight. A couple of wins in a row now for you, and looking strong going into those two of your favorite tracks as we get along with this season. So, congrats, and we'll see you at the next round.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
All right, there you go. Esteban Rodriguez, our GT3 Pro winner tonight in the number 29 Orion Racing Porsche 911. Larry, let's bring in now Bobby Childs, our winner in GT3 AM, in his D2D E-Racing Ferrari.
Bobby Childs is with us, and Bobby, I'm just guessing you're sitting there about 3/4 way through this race. You got a pretty hefty margin in your class, thinking these broadcasters probably aren't talking to me. I better do something to spice it up. So you go and you spin, and you keep that lead. So is that exactly what you were thinking?
Well, I'm listening to my music as I'm driving, and right then, the 80s classic, You Spin Me Right Round came on, and I just got so into it. And I just, I had to shake it a little bit. I had to spin right round like a record, baby. Right, round, round.
Right in front of your teammate. I think it was David Payton, who you had been running side by side with for probably 4 or 5 laps. You almost took him out after he almost took you out. You guys just sort of said, maybe it's better if we don't drive together.
Yeah, what happened there is okay, so iRacing's new model here. First off, I got to give them huge props. I got to give iRacing huge props on the new model. But one thing you have when they were talking about you're going to have diffuser stall, they are not kidding. And so, Le Mans, you think classically you're going to run low wing. You try to run as low wing as possible to take advantage of those big long straights. But what happens is going into Indianapolis and the Porsche curves, the car is super sketchy at that point. And so we were kind of driving on the ragged edge. I really wish we would have put more downforce in the setup now that we're after the event. I really do, because the car started getting even looser and looser as the run went on. But so we get into that corner, and David was trying to just draft me, but he was trying to save fuel. He missed his braking point a little bit and got beside me very unexpectedly, because I told him to pass me. And he said, no, I'm going to hang behind you. He wasn't worried about the spot. He was worried about running out of fuel. So I was not expecting him to show up there. And it just completely messed me up into Indianapolis. And going through that right-hand corner, I was just all off my marks. And that's how I spun the car. So it's just one of those things. The cars were sketchy.
Doing your Danny Sullivan impression in the spin for win. And it did pay off. Not your first spin of the night, though. You did have a coming together a little bit earlier there, along side by side as Chan was trying to pass you on his out lap after his pit stop. And then, of course, Christian Eisler was all kind of caught in that. The car feel okay after that? You had a pretty big contact.
It was okay for the most part. It was not as fast as it had been before that. And Arthur and I were talking about that just now, and that it was it was a decision. Arthur was feeling the pressure from behind, and it's a move you'd rather not make right there. You kind of do practice going side by side through Porsche and making passes through the chicanes, but Arnage is not a spot that you really practice a lot of multi-class passing. And when you get on that left-hand side, you got to be very wary of that slowdown. And it was just a situation where it's like, holy crap, how do we make it through this now? That maybe a little patience would have actually paid off a little better for.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But for yourself, the car wasn't too badly damaged, and you managed to bring it home for a victory here in the GT3M category. So, Bobby, who do you want to give shout out to tonight?
As usual, to my teammates, of course, they're such a big help. To the List family, who so wonderfully graciously gives us the team name D2D. To Skull Sim Gear for the sponsorship. To Proforma Elite Texas Graphics for their sponsorship. But tonight I want to send a huge shout out to my daughter Haley, who, as I got this race going, I realized I had forgotten to start crew chief. We're in the race, and she came out to the computer and pit crewed for me and got crew chief going for me while I'm driving. So huge shout out to my daughter Haley tonight. She's my hero, and she's the reason I was able to get this done.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great story. And that's we all appreciate Haley joining you, and glad you were able to keep the race going. It would have been really disappointing
Hey
if you would
man,
have wrecked
my
and
first
ruined
race
all that
back,
effort.
and it's a W.
So the
My
question
first
is,
race back, and it's a W.
So the question is, Bobby, did Haley make the music choices for you also tonight?
Yeah, she does. She always play, because she's an old soul like me. Like, she's sitting here, talking to me one day. Hey, Dad, have you ever heard of Eminem? And I'm like, Are you kidding me? Of course I've heard of Eminem. So yeah, we got a lot of music in common. So I let her run the radio sometimes.
Awesome, Bobby. Glad it worked out tonight. Big victory for you.
Oh
And
yeah.
this is always fun. So you go and give her a big hug, tell her thanks, and maybe buy her a Ferrari of her own so that you're not the
And
only one
my
driving.
last thing, Caleb's not the Ferrari's not mid.
The
The
Ferrari's
Ferrari is not mid, Caleb. He knows what I'm saying.
All right.
Oh my!
That sounds like some teamed trash talking going on there.
It is. It is.
All right. Thanks, Bobby, and
Thanks,
congrats
guys.
again.
All right, there you go, Bobby Childs, who is your dead or alive, your biggest dead or alive fan here
You spin
in
me
Ricmotech
round, baby,
Quick,
round,
move him out before he
correct
sings
it, baby.
again.
Oh my God! All right, there you go, Bobby Childs, tonight's AM category winner, driver of the number 88 D2D eRacing Ferrari. Oh, thank
Putting
God
the
that's
AM
over.
in the singing contest too.
I think next week we're just going to do karaoke. All right, let's bring in Arthur Chan, our winner tonight in LMP2 and overall winner, driver of the number 50 Axon
right.
Driving Solutions machine.
Arthur Chan taking home the overall victory tonight. And please don't sing like Bobby Childs was just singing. But Arthur, tell us a little bit about your night. We know you had the close call there with Bobby, but from there on, just kind of put it in cruise. But talk me through a little bit of your strategy and how things went.
Definitely a bit of an up and down night for me. Qualifying and start went well. Managed to take the lead going to turn one. It's the second race in a row I've been able to jump Eisler on the start, and I'm actually starting to wonder if it's a latency issue, if he's actually hearing the starter like a half second later than I do or something like that. So, but I was willing to take it. Made a pretty big tactical error, I guess I'd say, on lap one. I made the mistake of letting him go into the Porsche curves. I really should have been in front of him going into Indianapolis, because I think I didn't take into account how dirty the dirty air was going to be and how much time I was going to lose. And he was all night, he was much faster than me through the slow sections of the course, so he was able to just get a gap on me, and lost the draft from there. So after that, it was just damage limitation. I had planned to take a short middle stint to try and get that lead a lap bonus, and have a little chart next to me that says how much fuel I need for how many laps. And I kept taking down my fuel a little bit more every time as the gap got bigger. Quite pleased to just barely jump ahead of him. I could have taken one lap less fuel, really, but I was happy to make it past him just on the pits. And in the big incident with Bobby, yeah, we were chatting about it in the waiting room before this interview, and I think well, you definitely think it was just a bad idea. I think I'd say I probably did a well-executed bad idea. It's probably not the smartest place to try a pass, but I did leave him a lot of room. But I get what he's saying. I think in the heat of the moment, when you have someone like Eisler behind you, you just have to make a decision in a tenth of a second, and that decision I made.
Sure. Yeah, but you guys had just come out of the pits. You're still basically on that kind of a rush, because you came in 8 seconds behind him or whatnot, but had that short fuel strategy there. You jump him, and at that point, you're thinking, I just got to stay ahead of him for just a lap, right? You're trying to pick up that extra point
Exactly.
there. And you know that if you backed off behind Bobby, that there's no chance, right? Christian was gonna draft you in the straightaway. So I totally get it in that moment. You're trying to just hold that and keep that leader there behind you as long as you can for that lap. So makes sense. It was unfortunate for yourself, Bobby, to have the touch. It was really unfortunate for ultimately what happened for Christian. But after that, you just put your head down and just pick your way through traffic for the rest of the night. Any change of strategy to that point, or was it just go until you run out and one more stop from there?
Well, it was driving like my tires were the last set of tires on Earth, because I knew that my last stint was going to be basically a full load stint. So I basically babied the tires like nothing else through the middle stint there until I knew I was good. And no, it's just waiting for the lap to tick by. And as you probably know, one of the hardest things to do is to drive without a defined goal or chasing anyone, because you start taking it easy, you start going a little bit slower, getting off rhythm, you start getting understeer because you're taking too much weight off the front of the tires. And I actually had one or two close calls, just from maybe losing a bit of concentration. But I mean, it's not definitely not the way I'd like to win races, so not a big celebration from me. But I'm glad I was able to be within range of attacking Eisler at least after the first stops.
Yeah, and I think long run of the season, he's still the guy to beat, as we all know. But for tonight, it was a good strategy. You were trying to pick up max points, and at the end of the day, you end up taking home that victory. And you got a pretty good solid, at least on second points in the overall standings with a couple rounds to go. So congrats on that victory tonight. Anybody you want to thank?
Thanks, Larry. Definitely to thank Axon Driver Solutions, as always, for supporting me and my race and a couple of other people on our team. And tonight I'd probably like to thank just all the other competitors in the league, because without drivers, there's no race. So I've been racing with these great guys and girls for the last couple of years, and always look forward to it and always enjoy it.
Yeah, we need bigger LMP2 fields. We talked to Jake Gortson on the onset tonight. He had said he loves running in packs, but he loves driving this car. I think we got to keep pushing for more people to join, because I personally also love driving this car, and I hope that folks like you and Jake and Christian keep bringing more friends out to play, because it's a lot of fun to watch, and I'm sure you guys are enjoying driving them.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely love driving the car. I find it's always a challenge. I always feel like I'm the limiting factor of how fast the car can go, so I really like that aspect.
Absolutely. So congrats on the victory tonight, and looking forward to seeing you in the next round.
Thanks very much, Larry. See you next time.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Winner tonight from Le Mans. That is Arthur Chan, driver of the number 50 Axon Driving Solutions machine. And Larry, a great 90 minutes here from the Circuit de la Sarthe. Lots of excitement. Great battle there. I think we forgot to ask Esteban Rodriguez about the photo finish between he and William Laster. I would have loved to get a little bit more info on how that played out.
I have my suspicions as to what was going on there. Let's just say I don't think both of them were out of fuel. I think one of them might have strategically said, which order do we want to finish? But yeah, we'll leave that for them. Not a bad choice, if I do say so. Great run for both of them. It was a lot of fun to watch. And these guys have a good time together. Good teammates.
They do, and great to see Arthur at the top of the podium, and of course, any night that we can have Bobby Childs.
Any night he wants. Absolutely.
That's right, as long as he doesn't sing. All right, so let's go, Larry, and wrap things up here from Le Mans. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up on the schedule, and I think Esteban let the cat out of the bag just a little bit, but first off, next Monday night, March 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got round 8. That's round 8 of 9 of the Classic Sprint Series. Those are our Mazda MX-5 racers. They are going to be at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for a 60-minute sprint to the checker. In 2 weeks, you heard it, it's going to be round number 6 of the World Challenge. Watkins Glen, another one of these great 90-minute battles. You don't want to miss it. Great track, great speed, great history, and always very close racing there. And then it's a little while out, but May 9th, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, that's TCR cars and GT4 cars, it returns, and you can join us. You can race. Registration for the Sports Car Series opens up this Friday. If you head to extrememotorsports99.com/road on Friday, or starting this Friday, you can sign up for the series. We would definitely love to see you.
Only about 6 weeks away, so definitely get signed up. When we ran that series a couple seasons ago, it was a lot of fun. I think backed by popular demand, I think it's going to be well subscribed, a lot of good racing, so definitely sign up for that.
Yeah, and especially now with 4 cars, the 4 different TCR cars. It's going to be hot. All right. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Dennis Branch, for Jonathan Grabowski, I am Greg Ginsburg, and we will see you next Monday evening from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.